that, maybe that's one from Dave, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's one Dave Morrison.
Wait, okay.
Here. Holy, man, this is a lot of information. We should have got this a week ago. So we can digest it.
All right, well, we can get started.
David Moisen is participating remotely.
Ted, is this one yours?
Yeah, come on, yeah, it's updated information. Up to top about it.
I see your name there.
Yeah, at the very top, yeah. Are we live?
Yeah, you're live.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the minutes.
It's the only one that's got it now.
I passed them along. Let everyone have a copy.
No, not yet. They're still making them.
Oh,
But if you want to just wait,
We could postpone it.
yeah.
Yep.
Can we get them?
all right. I guess we're starting with recreation first. So we'll start with line items 001, 0002, 0008. If you have any questions or comments on those line items?
I will go on and tell you that the 0008, that is, it didn't get changed like it should have. It's supposed to be 9,500. Those are our coordinator stipends. And that's what they have been. So I'm not about to change that.
So you said 008 is going from the department request of 50,000 down to.
No, the 008 for the top part, the part-time recreation, where it's just before it goes to summer rec. It was part of it. I don't know how what you guys see there, which.
It's showing
how it goes.
50,626 for the.
Yes.
It's just a five.
Yes, yeah, so part of that it actually needs to be 53,126.
Okay.
I'm sorry, could you give us your name again?
Cody.
I understand somewhere I heard that you were not gonna fill the position of cemetery,
Supervisor.
Yeah.
Correct.
and where is that number in here?
It's on later on.
Oh,
It's
later,
in.
okay, all right,
This is mainly just like our sports and beach day.
okay. And this maintenance janitor, that's Teddy's position?
That
And did you build in any COLA wage increases in any of these?
yes, all these are up to date in what they're supposed to be.
Okay, so what did you build in, what percentage?
So I'm not sure what the exact percentage is that it went up, but last year it was at 14.75, I think what minimum wage was, and it's up to 15.10 now. So what I have to go see what last year's were, tell you the exact numbers. But yeah, I just basically kept everything the same as far as the difference between minimum wage and each person's position. I just made it up to where it's supposed to be.
There's no additional hours from last year.
Correct. Everything else is the same.
What about your position and the secretary's position? Do they have a COLA built in? Or is you're waiting for the council to vote on that as part of
Yes, I'm waiting.
the overall?
So usually the town manager sets a number for the COLA, whether it's like 20,000, 50,000, and then that's.
That's
divided
in a
amongst-
different budget, I guess,
Yeah.
but I understand from listening to the librarian that she had built in some COLA increases in her budget, so I'm just gonna ask that. Police department.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't know if Clinton's in here or not.
It's not.
He said no.
No,
It's not.
Anybody have any other?
I just have one other question, just, with regards to Ted's position, it says janitor, but he's no longer the janitor like here.
Yep, we'll be
Oh, he is.
here every morning.
Oh, because how did we not think that that was our responsibility as a town? So it is our responsibility to keep this
Yeah.
clean, and he does the snow shoveling and
Yes, and Bill does that too.
How does this staff compare to last year? Is it about the same, is it more or less,
Yeah, it's about the same.
about the same?
Yeah.
Same number of hours?
Yeah, everything else, it's identical to how it was. Hours.
We do over budget last year and
It's 23,976.
Yeah, so last year the wages went over 16,000.
$736.73. Is what we have for numbers.
that went over.
Yep.
Is that because they took out some payout for the previous director leaving, or do they have a separate fund for that?
But I'm not sure on that. Potentially it could be. I will tell you that right now we're sitting pretty good with wages. We're at 87,126 currently left, and this is updated
Okay.
today. Well,
Yeah.
yesterday I updated it, but
Yeah, we only have one that's updated as, I think it was just printed, yeah, the end of April, so.
yeah, this is up every time we spend something. That's what we're looking at. It's up to date.
Is there anything you can put your finger on that you could say was the cause of the overrun?
That was before I was here, so I can't answer that.
So we have no information.
I think what happens, Steve, is when somebody leaves, they do the payout in this department, in their department, rather than taking it out of an account that should be in the trial balance called compensated absence. It should be a separate account for somebody's payout for sick and vacation.
So the accounting's are.
Yeah, I think that's what happens. And I'm not sure, but
Any other questions on?
I have a question. Oh, maybe I'm going to 0.118. Vote landing, maybe open ahead. Sorry.
All right, we'll move on to 0009 travel expense. Department request is $1,015.
That needs to be actually be changed to 2006.
That's it.
and how did you call for that difference?
So last year, at just along with track meets for our track coaches and rec assistants, we spent $988.70. The cemetery crew, that was myself included last year, was $472.55. The rec director and the secretary last year was $241.04. Now we have, obviously the rate went up this year, which I have updated mine. We can't have our rec assistants and our coordinator using the cruiser because they go all the way to Augusta. Sometimes they go and it just sits there, whereas opposed to sitting there in Augusta, people like Denton or whoever else could be using it here.
And they're high schoolers, so they're
Yes.
not full-time employees of the town, so. We would take the cruiser away from a full-time employee for a high school part-time person to go to. Last year it was Old Town, Herman, Hamden, Brewer, and Augusta.
So you mean the rec assistant, the high school drives their own vehicle
Correct.
to take all these kids to these practice?
No.
Their parents take the parents take the kids.
Oh.
Just but we only reimburse the coach and
I see.
and
But we're not,
Yeah.
we're not taking children
Absolutely.
to town.
correct.
Do you intend to use the cruisers yourself? as the-
Yes, I already do currently. I will say that last year I used my personal vehicle, to help out us at the end of the year to haul mowers and stuff because our truck broke down. I'm not doing that this year, and the truck's going to most likely break down at any point for good. So this could go over the 2016 because if that truck breaks down, we only have a 2-cab truck, which Teddy drives most of the time. And then all the high school kids would have to work in the cemetery crew would have to take their own vehicle from job to job in order to still get the stuff done. So we would have to pay them for that too, because this truck that breaks down instead of that.
So you have a double cab you're currently talking about the breaking down one,
Yes, it's 4-door.
and there was something on the agenda last night for a new truck.
That's what I was trying to get replaced so that we wouldn't have to worry about what's going over.
But I think it's a good idea if it is that bad to try to get some bids in, but I think,
Oh, I did, and to answer your question from last night, I did go out to bid for it. But I didn't include it because I wanted to explain this up there to them. That when I contacted the people, basically they all told me they know what's going on with everything right here now. They weren't willing to hold a truck for me because they didn't have confidence they would get approved when they could make a sale. So the only people and I contacted 7 different dealerships. The only people that gave me anything back was Dorn Brothers. They gave me 2. One of which was the one that I was trying to get last night to replace.
Did you get a price, Cody, on a new one versus the old?
So Thornton Brothers did offer to get me a price on a new one, but they never did, because I told them I only had a certain amount of money to spend. So most likely I just didn't have enough money within the capital funds to cover a brand.
Was the money already budgeted last year for?
Yes.
that was something that I don't think was explained enough in the backup material, yes.
Well, it's completely wrong that if we're budgeting money for a vehicle, it's been approved,
And we can't spend it,
and then you can't spend it, because then.
you know,
Is that pickup used to help Public Works in the winter?
It used to be, but last year when we started having issues out of it, we were told that we needed to quit driving it because it needed to be replaced. So Public Works did not use that this year. It's sad.
so those are the only 2 you have, is one that's just a regular cab and then the double cab.
Yes, and the one that's a regular cab is mainly our water truck during the summer. The Teddy goes around and waters all of our plants around town.
That was gonna be a 3/4 ton.
Yes, because we needed 2,500 in order. All its own.
2-wheel drive or 4?
It's 4-wheel drive.
I'm just curious if we bought the right one, if it's something that Public Works could use in the winter as well. So,
We. Can I tell them? We were going to. Us and Public Works were going to go half and half in on the truck.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
But the 2. What I am wanting is different than what they need. What they were needing is a little bit different than what I truly need. So we both agreed that it would be best, so we meet both of our interests and needs to just do separate trucks.
where did it fall down in between what you need and what public works need?
It's a lot of things.
It's more than buying 2 trucks.
Yes and no, it's a whole ordeal. I'm just breaking it out there, because I think a little bit, you'd have to ask them to be exactly, I didn't go into detail on it, because
But you know what you want for a truck.
yes, I know what we need, and this is exactly what we had. It wasn't anything special, it was just a regular 2,500 truck,
So they need more of a truck than what you need.
I believe so.
Would you be willing to use a truck that has more than what you need?
Well, I would, yes, but the high school kids are the ones that are driving 95% of the time in the summertime. So if something happens to that truck with them driving it, then Public Works is out of the truck. And I don't want to mess them up as much as I don't want to mess myself up. But with a high school kid driving more truck than they can handle, that, to me, that's not right.
We have insurance.
Well, yes, we do, but still.
So we tried to bring this up with Dennis and he said it was a no-go. What we was trying to push forward was move our truck that we have now over to the wreck. Combine our money and have us buy a new pickup. And we could have the plow and everything. And pretty much do like we do with the transfer station for the back. Every 4 or 5 years, sell it off for a fraction of the price. The Parks and Rec, we get a new truck, run it for 4 years, keep going that. And then we could use it in the wintertime to put the sander in the back, that's what we need it for, instead of having to pull the sander in and out all winter long. Going on that way, and he said there's no way. So,
I guess where I was going was last year it was brought up that there was another pickup. A lot of times you guys had to take fuel out to a machine. So I was wondering if we bought something both could use, we could use that to haul fuel in winter or something.
and that's what we brought up the benefit was like, the worst environment is our pickup. And if we was like 5 years old, we could ship it to the rec department and then get a new pickup. And then in 5 years, ship it to the rec department where they're gonna use it in the summer. And we primarily just use it for sanding in the winter, where it's not plowing and being used, a lot more,
Right.
not abused, but I'm just saying a lot more plowing and like that, for instance, and then the kids get it, still vehicle, like, right now, it's 5 years old and it's got 50,000 miles on it.
Yep.
Well, the pickups he was looking at were 5 years old with 50,000 miles. At $50,000 or 40,000, if I'm not right.
You're right.
I think it's around that, and so we just figured if we combined both of our money, because they didn't approve us for a $30,000 used pickup that we were trying to get. But we got that. Well, we have that in capital, and then they have money in capital.
Yeah.
And we were just figuring if we could buy a new plow truck, that's new truck, every 5 years that goes down. And both departments are getting,
I guess what I've seen is if you take a pickup or something, run it half the year and it sits.
right, it's a
It's
worst
not
thing for,
important to sit, in my opinion, and
yes, the worst thing for, that's what we were trying to. But at the time, Dennis just figured, we're not gonna get nothing, and, it's tight budget and.
Right.
They just wanted to split the money back up and go our separate ways.
maybe it's just me, but the two departments gonna work together on. Use either instead of. I don't know.
Under normal circumstances, the sanitary district and water district get new pickups every 2 or 3 years, I think. And I noticed in the paper early this spring that they were getting rid of a pickup. And I didn't know if there's some way you could contact them and say, when is your next scheduled upgrade? And you can keep us in mind when you're gonna do that.
As long as
As long as it follows exactly what.
Right.
2,500.
Well, I think that's what they had. I think this spring is a 4-door. I'm not sure if it was 4-wheel drive, but
It just happens, we have to have 3 doors.
There's a lot of the pickups that we spec out have everything they need, it has the lift gate and everything that he needs. It's just the stuff that he has, don't quite get up to what we need,
right.
that's the problem.
So the one they have now would be what you need.
As in, that they have currently.
Yeah, the one they want to give you.
Yeah, sure, I didn't know that detail.
And Dennis told us he had talked to him about it.
Yeah, Dennis never talked to me about that, but yes, no, their truck would be perfect, exactly what I did with. The issue was,
I mean, that
So
seems
do
like
you
a-
use that truck right now?
Yeah, it's currently, yeah, our truck, yep.
You're using that pickup now?
Yep.
So it's not just for sanding and plowing?
Nope, it's year-round truck for us.
I think your question is available for parts. and
Yeah, is it?
recreation.
Yeah, it would be available to them in our budget, we're looking to replace, you know.
If you got a new one, it
Right.
would be available,
It would
but
be
it's not available right now because you're using it.
Right,
So is that new pickup in your budget?
no, not the whole thing, we have half of this year to put capital, because that's what we were told to do. There wasn't gonna be enough to buy a truck, we were told not to put enough in to buy a truck.
So you don't have any capital budget?
We have 30,000 left from last year, right now in our capital reserve to buy a used one ton that we got denied. So we have 30,000 sitting in there, and the rec department has
30,000.
30,000 sitting in their capital. So there's 60,000 already in this year's budget. That's right.
In the budget or in a capital
In
reserve?
the capital for this year,
In the capital budget,
for this year.
you don't have anything in reserve currently that's already been
Correct.
taxed.
FY 25,
Twenty-six.
FY 26 budget has,
Oh, so you
60,000.
have 1.6 has already been approved, and it's sitting there.
It's running.
So do either one of you have an issue with trying to move forward and pool your two monies and you get the used one and?
No, and I've done research
I-
on a brand new truck is like 68,000.
I don't know,
Does that work?
I don't have a problem, but
And present
every
it to the
time
council?
that we try to get something that, and last night didn't go to vote, so, you know, it's whatever with that.
The motion died last night without even.
Right, but I think part of it, yeah, if they didn't have all the information, probably maybe that was why, I don't know.
This was the first year we did it with tobacco. That was kind of my idea, was like tobacco gets down to the transfer station, comes from us, so they pay a third of it. So it's kind of the same idea I wanted to use with the rest.
We make a motion that the town council consider this or what?
I think when we get the capital, that'd be a good discussion to talk about.
Okay, wait to capital. Okay.
That's where it is, both
Yeah,
have money is in
yeah,
capital.
you're right.
It's in this, it's in the current budget that's already been approved, the one that they're working under right now.
But it's not. in-
It's not this one that we're
It's in-
talking
it's
about.
in
It's in the
capital.
current,
2026.
it's already been taxed. So if
Last
we
year's
want to make
budget.
a recommendation to the council, I think it would be appropriate to do that.
That's what I'm wondering, is that right, or is it all approved and it's up to them to spend? That's what,
It's in the current budget.
yeah, so it's already
Already
approved
been
the money.
approved. We've already been taxed.
Yep.
There's 30,000 in each of their capital budgets. Let's look at it.
So it's just slightly different because the merging idea was new.
no, we've been doing it pretty clean.
Oh, really?
We've done it with
Yeah, we've done
transfer
it with
station
tobacco
for,
a long time.
for years.
We just never took it out of both departments.
Okay, I'm not seeing anything in public works for pickup. I'm seeing a,
He never put it in the capital, Dennis was supposed to change that, we had it on our paper, but he never put it in. I mentioned it to Dennis, he said you'd take care of it.
There's very little now.
But it's going to show for mine in that one that there's only gonna be $10,000. But I checked yesterday and there's $20,000 along
Oh,
with
the
that
last year.
10,000.
Is what I think that was.
there's nothing in your recreation truck reserve, there's zero. In this year's, in the current budget that you're working on.
2026,
in the
it's
twen-
we.
No, we talked about that.
Oh, the
No, I'm
27, no,
I'm talking 26.
you're talking 26. So in 26, it was supposed to, it really said $10,000 was going to go into a capital fund from the 26 budget, which already from the 25, there was 20 grand sitting in that capital budget. Because it was 15 for a truck and 5 for a mower.
Yes. This is the 25 one, there's nothing in the 25. That's what I'm reading wrong, I don't see it in either public works.
I
Or,
just checked yesterday. I know I have $30,000.
why doesn't our report show that? We just got these from Dennis when we started.
I can,
It's over in the file, though. Right. That's a. That one out.
This is the whole departments, all the departments, including capital. From, says July to April, which is what we've spent this year and what was appropriated.
As you know, what we need, probably, but,
But on the budget book this year, we had 30,000 in there for a one-ton. I don't have the paperwork with me, but we had 30,000 for a one-ton, we had we had the backhoe. If I could look, if someone has the budget book for 26, that's in.
Well, even on the police page, I told you, I was there. Police is there.
My guess is they didn't, in print, right, like you didn't carry the formulas, like, yeah, just like they're missing.
Information.
Okay, so. 24 and 25, and 26, there's nothing in any of those accounts for either public works or rec. All right. So if there's no money in the budget, maybe that's why the council said no, I don't know. If you can't show it to them, I'm assuming that's,
I don't know what that, but I have it, yes, but it goes from, he could show it too, but it's in the same book. Where mine says $10,000 for 26.
Yeah, if I had the budget book from there, I could show you.
She would have get enough with that.
yeah, that would be good if we could see it, because I'm wondering why.
Last year, we bought the purchase tobacco was the transfer station. We had like 140 something thousand in capital.
I had 20 sitting in there, and then I had 10 that's going to go in there in 26
From this year's,
of this year. Yeah, replacement lease pickup. $10,000.
and that, oh, that's in your regular budget?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's not in capital. Let me look at.
But in capital funds, I do have $20,000 sitting in there, but I asked yesterday about it. Rec equipment right here in capital fund, 17,000 was approved then. And last year was 20.
Are you talking about 0900, or are you talking about?
I don't know what they're. 0610 is the line item.
0610 under the capital budget.
No, the capital budget is 0612.
0610.
There is $20,000 there.
Oh, that says equipment, it doesn't say pickup.
No, it's just rec equipment. It's all
Okay.
typed up.
All right, so
That goes from
in the
our,
current budget for 26, you have $20,000. And then you have more money in a reserve.
yes.
I don't get it.
And then if you look at the public work. 0435, public works equipment. There was 94,000 in there for the backhoe, 30,000 in there for the one-ton dump. 4,500 in there for the tailgate from there, and then 18,000 for the calcium trailer. Everything's been spent but the 30,000 for the one-ton dump. So that 30,000 was we went for our new truck and we didn't get it. So that 30,000 in there.
Well, yeah, it says 27,800 is left in that account. Under capital. As of April. You probably have. it
Right, I just got
broken
the,
down
yep.
as it-
Well, I think the back will come in at like 95,000 because it was a little bit more.
They call it equipment instead of vehicle.
Right,
Okay. See, I'm thinking. One of the things when you, not to be, I don't wanna talk down to you, but when you fill out that. Request for the agenda item. You should tell them where it is in the budget and say the money's there, but I don't think they knew.
It said it on the agenda. It said 0612 rec equipment. In parentheses, I read, I'll go get the agenda. Show you.
Yeah.
It said it.
Okay. Where is it?
All right, so I mean, I guess we can go down this rabbit hole a lot, but right now we have 0009 travel expense. So if they don't get a new truck, then we're gonna need a lot more in this budget than,
2,000 you're asking for.
so what do we wanna do? Do we wanna?
Well,
Come up
I
with a
think,
number,
I think
or-
we should make a motion for at least what he's asking for, the 2016, and then make a recommendation that they reconsider this purchase if they're having such trouble with the truck that they're having.
Second.
I'm gonna tell you the whole thing. We have, the engine needs to be replaced, the lifters and a bunch of other problems are in there. The transmission is slipping every time it goes in second gear. The frame is rusting to a point to where it's almost got have holes in it. We have been told by multiple people that this truck should not have any money put into it, it should be replaced.
We put high schoolers out in that in the summertime as
If-
safety.
I cannot, and every time I am hooking a trailer up and pulling something. Reason. I think that I took it to Brewer today, and I did not think I was going to make it back. I made it, but
But how does it get in this disrepair? I mean, I would think that you would take care of these things as they occur, but
agreed. This truck was bought used in the first place. And it had almost 100,000 miles on it when they bought it. There's the first problem. Then after that, I can't speak for the people that were before me,
right,
but
probably
I,
didn't do an inspection before they bought it either.
that I don't know, but I know that I do take good care of my things and the equipment from Simon to paint.
What year is it?
It is 2050.
So the motion is to authorize the 2016 and then recommend to the council that they do purchase a new or used or new pickup with the money that they currently have in the budget. In the FY26 budget.
Combining the rec department with the public works
Right,
department.
yeah, I think,
which is, that's by the one time. That's puts me one time and then transferring the private public works vehicle to parking lot.
I second the amended.
Didn't go the wrong way.
Yeah.
okay,
All right, we have a motion a second. All those in favor? With 3, 6, 9, 0.
Hey, George,
012, advertising recruitment, department request $150. Make motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
can you hear me?
George, you hear David?
Nope.
David Moisen is participating remotely. I show up as Kathy.
Yes, David, hold on one second. Let's try it now, David.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
we hear you.
Thank you. Okay, good. Go ahead, please. Please.
Okay,
All right, motion made second, any discussion?
so you've already overspent this year's budget, and you had 300.
So
How do you propose that you're gonna stay within the 150?
So the reason we went over a lot this year has a lot to do with the amount of turnover. Every time that somebody there's a new job, it's posted in the Lincoln News and it's basically $100. I want to try to go more Facebook oriented with everything that we can. There are some things that we still have to put in the Lincoln News, which would be like cemetery stuff, so like cleanups and ordinances and that type of stuff. But everything else, hopefully we don't have a bunch of turnover this year, so we won't have to make those posts. But everything else I want to make specifically online to Sean on the website as well as the rest.
All right, all those in favor? 9-0.
It's 10-0.
Oh, yes, we did.
We don't have anyone to do roll call, so unfortunately, you're not able to vote. Ann's not here to do roll call.
So explain that to me, you can't vote because,
We don't have anyone. We don't have a clerk to do the roll call.
okay, so, but we're here. And she's still not there, so what's the difference?
In order to vote by Zoom, you have to do a roll call.
Okay, that's the reason.
Yeah. I mean, we can accept his vote. I mean, it doesn't matter to me either way, but it's just not.
We're splitting hairs. I agree with the majority. So go.
Okay, very good.
You can mark David down as voting for it, but that's fine.
So you said that you're not going to put the crew leader in under 0014.
The cemetery supervisor,
Oh, the cemetery supervisor. Okay.
that is because I'm doing that now. I'm doing the director as well as that.
Okay. And not to jump ahead, but I was gonna ask you if your crew could mow the landfill instead of contracting that out.
Like the transfer thing.
No, the landfill out to Folsom Pond.
I believe that's bush hog. isn't it?
Yeah, they use a bush.
Yeah, we worked on it. It's rough. For the track.
So if we do not have a hotel. You wanna give us the Bible and I'll gladly look into that.
Yeah, I'll take that up on this one.
That because it won't take up traffic, it won't take up more. You have to bush hog it.
Yeah, it's just too high and thick.
And they only do it once a year.
Yeah, we go to the roadside more.
So
Doesn't do it twice.
Nope, we just go once a year. Right after the budget.
So we can't vote on this because this is way over again, but we can.
If anyone has any other comments?
All right.
All right, 0024 uniforms, $1,000 department request.
This is just t-shirts.
Lifeguard shirts, work boots for me and Ted. And work shirts for the cemetery guys. With your high.
Right. But you've also included the lifeguards, so that those are the t-shirts too, and swimwear and all that.
Yes, the new hires get 2, the attorneys get 1.
Make a motion for 1,000.
Second. Any discussion?
I've noticed that in last year's budget, because it's not complete yet, but you're only about half spent. In FY25, we didn't spend anything on the funds.
We will be buying uniforms before the budget is set, as I have people starting next week.
So you don't know why they didn't buy any last year, the year before.
Yeah, the year before I could speak go, but yeah, I had no idea that would be a wrong play.
All right, all those in favor? David?
Aye.
Okay,
All right, 10-0. Item 0027, consumable supplies, $1,000 department request. Make a motion for the department request.
Second.
Second,
Any discussion? I see you haven't really expended much yet, but I'm assuming that's gonna be kind of at the start of the,
Right, we're over $8 right
Let's say they, as of April, they had,
oh, whoops, wrong line. Do you think we're over $8? Are you gonna,
We're gonna go over that because we're about to file and stuff.
so is,
You never know, you never know what we need. It just changes from year to year, from what I understand. So
how much do you think you're gonna be over this year?
if I had to guess,
We have to still buy the supplies for the beach house to open in the summertime, which is things like paper towels, toilet paper, soap, trash bags, that kind of thing for the beach house every summer.
I'd guess we would include worth $300 to $500 over.
All right, I'll amend my motion to 0027 to be for 1,300 for consumable supplies, and hopefully that kind of kind of evens it out a little bit, maybe to not be over with any luck. So,
I'll second it.
does anyone else have anything? All those in favor? David?
aye,
Vote passes 10-0. 0030 equipment maintenance department request 3,500.
now, in some cases, some of the department managers say they're good, fair, or what do you consider the condition of this equipment?
It depends on which part of the equipment you're talking about. So if we talk about the 2012 Bobcat, which we have been trying to replace 3 times and never have, it is about like the truck, terrible. For the trailer, it's pretty good shape. It's tired. Not right now, but it will by the year. With our John Deere mower, it's in great shape. One of our 3 Exmark mowers are in really good shape. The other 2 are pretty rough. They're up to almost 1,500 to 2,000 hours, which we try to replace those every 2 years that we had them. So this past year I broke that, but did purchase a mower this morning. As a matter of fact, replaced one of those. So there's that. Our backhoe is really good shape. Our trimmers, older trimmers are breaking down, so I'm trying to replace them. That's need be one at a time.
Yeah, for $200, you're not gonna get many.
Right, correct. But in the next item of what purchase I do have.
So who does the oil changes and all of the work? Is it Public Works? Oh, you.
So what's the Bobcat just for, if I'm not perfect, the dirt, like moving the dirt for when you dig?
Yes, it is for burials, but as well as last year, when I started here, I started on the wall. Pay attention to, so we were using that broke down. But we also use the balloon vest. And it's a very big thing for hauling trash back during that. So obviously not having it this year. But we got to do. It is a hard time with not having burials right now. So we're having to rent a dump trailer sometimes when Public Works doesn't need it. Lets us, we can use the sidewalk tractor with a bucket on it. But obviously, we don't want to use that much. That's an important piece of equipment for them. So I don't want to wear that out by any $75 a time for a dump trailer, it adds up over a period of time.
Just we waste the money, in my opinion.
So you don't have anything in the current capital budget for cemetery equipment?
You're correct. And I'm really, I don't know what to do with the Bobcat. I mean, after being shot down 3 times, 3 strikes, you're out. I didn't feel like fighting a losing battle again.
Wasn't the money already budgeted though?
Yes, it was.
So you're using the backbone instead?
Well, the backhoe digs the hole, and it just scoops it into here, into the whatever.
It has the front end load.
It does, but when you constantly have to sit it over here, then pick up the backhoe and then go turn around and scoop it, that takes time, a lot of time. And it's not enough hours in the day to do it that way.
Just with you, don't dig a hole, then put a person in and then go.
You're correct, but we don't leave the dirt sitting there.
So you leave it.
Correct. People who don't, yeah, for a funeral, we don't leave dirt. We haul it to a dirt pile, and then when the funeral is over, we bring it to the dirt pile.
And you tell people what really happened.
Well, we tried. Brendan tried and he did very well at it, but
Or buy it hard?
well, that's, if it push comes to shoving into a place where we can't fit things, we're gonna have to do it that way. Like tomorrow, that's South Lincoln in the morning, that's probably what we're going to have to do.
I'd say if they don't want to buy the backhoe, then just
I'll go.
leave the dirt. So. I mean, buy the Bobcat, not the backhoe.
Yep.
Isn't that more efficient if we get something loaded? You're not making a mess of grass.
I will tell you this today, we use the sidewalk traffic. And we dug the full size in under 2 hours. If, but we ran the property off, but if it wasn't for that, we would have dug it in 2 hours. Eddie, who has done it for 50 years, said he had never pulled that. So that tells you how much time it takes.
So you're proposing not to fix the Bobcat, you have no money.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm up in the air with that. I do, when we get to the capital items, I do plan on adding some money into that in this current budget, because the way some equipment is, I do want to add some, hopefully try to replace it.
So you don't have a dump truck, right?
Correct.
So that trailer isn't a dump trailer. is it?
No, that trailer right there is not a dump trailer. We rent one from Tibbetts.
Oh, okay, so that's not good.
Yes.
We have quite a bit of money left in this year's budget under equipment maintenance. Oh, no, you're in the wrong line, you're over already. Can I make a motion for the 35?
Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. 0031 equipment purchase, department request 2150.
You said you just bought something new recently?
Yes, I won't, as a matter of fact, but it wasn't.
There's, like I said, you have quite a bit of money left in that line for this year.
Oh, yes. So that's going, we are going to spend a lot, that'll probably be at 0, if not a little bit over, before it resets. I'm having to pull money from different places to buy things for the rec programs, so I'm using some of that money to buy some new equipment for programs in the rec that have been neglected for years.
Under tools, what do you expect that you're gonna need that you wouldn't be able to borrow from Public Works? Is that stuff that you normally do, or you have your own tools?
We have our own tools, that are separate from Public Works and garage. I don't expect to need any, but at the same point in time, you never know.
So for the trimmer, 1150 will get you one.
No, for the 1150 is for the trimmer, it's for one trimmer and one blower.
I remember correctly, usually one trimmer a year, is that
Yes.
unless something.
Unless like last year, we had three that the motor burnt up on them from
'Cause-
the excessive use.
I remember when Jeremy was doing it, and I know there was one year he tried. I think he tried better. Higher end like trimmers and
I am trying
and they
to upgrade everything commercial. Because right now, 95% of our stuff is residential. And you should not be doing the amount of stuff that we do with residential stuff. So all the trimmers, all the blowers, even the mower that I got today, it's a commercial, high grade commercial stuff.
okay. So I know he tried that before and they didn't last. I mean, they lasted a little bit longer, but it was way more money that's why we went back to buying just cheap ones to burn through because we could buy like 5 to 1, right? I don't know what they cost now, so.
Well, a new one of these costs about $450.
So
Make a motion for the 2150.
was there a second?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. Right. Item 0040, vehicle fuel. Department request 5789.
Well, I didn't touch this one because the fuel prices haven't been adjusted.
Yeah, I think
David
Dennis said that-
Boyson suggests $8,100.
I'll second that.
8,100.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion made, seconded, discussion?
What price are you using, Dave?
Now, it's somewhat complicated, Jabet.
We don't need compensation.
I figured 25% of the fuel is gonna be priced at $4.50 a gallon. 25% at $3.50 and 50% at $2.80.
Okay, well,
Sweet, when did that happen?
4 years.
all right.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, 10-0. 0041, vehicle maintenance, department request $3,000.
Yeah, if you could give us the good, bad, fair.
So the 2018, which is Petty Struck, as I refer to it as, it's in good shape now. It had some stuff. It had new tires put on it last year, toward the end. It had an exhaust leak fixed last year, and as I know, it still runs. It feels good, at least it was today. Let me go right to that. The 2015 3/4 ton is the truck that is basically a junkyard. The stage truck, which it only gets used when we have to set up the stage, so it is in good shape.
Why is it called a stage?
It is only used for the stage. The stage stays in the back. It's a box truck, that's what it is.
What is that 3/4 ton used for?
It is used for hauling mowers, the backhoe, dump trailers, mulch, basically all the stuff that the cemetery crew does.
So if we wanted to make a recommendation, this would be the place to make that recommendation as we were talking about. With regards to having the public works buy their pickup, you get the public works truck. I make a motion for the $3,000. With the recommendation that Public Works having money in the budget for purchasing their pickup. Go ahead and recommend to the council that they allow that to happen, and then the Public Works truck can be given to the cemetery.
Any other discussion?
We need a second on that.
Oh,
No,
there's
Charlie.
one.
Charlie, okay. Yep.
All right, all those in favor? David,
Aye.
10-0. Cemetery maintenance, department request $19,300.
Roof is really expensive.
Yes, it is $6,750. So if you don't, basically what grubs do is they go in there and they eat the roots of grass. So in return, then we're gonna have bare spots in our cemeteries. And with bare spots, it can slowly erode away as it rains, and then we're gonna have cold.
Okay, so does that have anything to do with not wanting the seed stand with seed roofs around the grave?
Correct. It has everything to do with just keeping the cemetery grass looking beautiful.
Has anybody asked if we can use the cemetery perpetual care interest to pay for that?
No, but I definitely look into it.
Because I know that the cemetery has a perpetual care trust fund and that earns interest every year. I'm fairly certain we can spend the interest, of course, not the principal, but that's for given by the residents who are buried there. But I'm pretty sure in the past, we've allocated interest out of that account for certain things like cemeteries.
I will definitely look into it. I actually just found out about what you're talking about last week. After this stuff. Trust fund, so I can definitely.
So in fiscal year 25, we have a budget of 19,723, we spent 11,250. And last year, which we haven't completed the year yet, but we also have a budget of 19,300. We only spent so far 6,750. And this year we've asked for the exact same amount.
And I will tell you exactly why. So. I don't know why this has not been done in the past, and I'm thankful that nobody has seen it investigated. So by law, we are supposed to repair any of these damaged stones and then fallen over, and they have not been done. I can clearly see that. I do plan on getting a company in here to fix section by section, because we can only afford to do so many years. But this year, I plan on going in there, getting them to start on that, so that we can get all these stones repaired. I also have been in the process of buying signs so that people can identify each individual cemetery, and also Deckard Pub. I am buying new sections and row signs so that people can have an easier way to find their loved ones. I am also planning on getting gravel delivered to where I can spread throughout the two cemeteries, because the roads need to be repaired. And I can do it, so I'm not gonna pay somebody to do it, but I still have to pay for the gravel. Now, what I will tell you is, because you've done this with previous ones, I don't foresee me spending $11,828 before July 1st. I do foresee spending probably $3,000 to $5,000 of that. Still, because I've ordered the signs, but they've not came in yet, so I have to pay for it. But whatever I have left over, we can put into a different account and offset the difference in this, to where I still have access to that money.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
Not that I don't disagree with you, but I'm concerned that the town is taking on responsibility where it doesn't need to. Those stones are not owned by the town. Those are owned by the people who purchased the lot, and then they purchased perpetual care from the town to help keep their lot nice. I don't believe that the town is responsible for taking care of the stone, unless it's like you said, it's been toppled over, but then there should be some insurance money that would come in if there's
Some of it-
vandalism.
And see that, all I'm going off of is what I was brought up between me, Brendan, and Melissa of last year. Because some of them I can repair myself between you and Teddy. Others, it's just too much. We need somebody, a professional to do it. So I'm not sure on those parameters, but according to those two and Melissa especially, we have to take care of those for whatever reason. So
It's the lawnmowers that chip them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's our responsibility if
It's our
we do the
responsibility.
damage, but if it's.
now, some of these I know there's no way that the lawnmower did. did them, and if they did, I hope that the person's no longer working, but, yeah, all I know is the ones that we have done that to, we don't fix already, but
Right, but
Any
I
of
don't
those.
think it's our responsibility if somebody comes in.
I think the veterans one,
yeah, that's the big one. Most of these that would need to be repaired are veterans.
Well, again, if we're doing something like that, I think that perpetual care account should be helping us pay for some of this, because that's the reason why they pay perpetual care to begin with, is to have that care of their lot. You know, in
Well,
perpetuity,
And again, I'll look into it, but, you know, if. As long as I just need to make sure I have enough money in there to be able to do these things.
how much do you think you're gonna have left in this budget, did you say?
If I had to guess, I would say anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000.
would we check Cody? I think sometimes the veterans ones are these grants.
Yeah, we can check on that.
So I make a motion for 12,300 and have the rest of the money left over in the FY26 budget, which would be hopefully $7,000 into a reserve account for this purpose. Stone repair / cemetery maintenance.
I second that. I just got good look at the law and it does say that the town is responsible. There's like a little gray area, like if the descendant is still there, like they still have a descendant, but it said if you can't find the descendants. Their town's responsible and it's $100 per incident. Fine, so. If, again, someone have to report it, but
I think we should also have in the minutes of going and researching what the funds are available.
Yeah, I did put that in there, check the cemetery trust fund for interest for going forward, help offset some of these funds.
I will do it.
any other discussion? All those in favor? David,
Aye.
10-0. 0060 safety department request $500. I see this one's overspent by 200. Is 500 enough?
It's actually now it's been a 374. So. We had an issue with Cintas this last year of coming in and I don't know what their frequency was last year, but we were getting billed for $100 or more every time. I have spoken to Cintas to where they only come every 8 weeks now. And they're only going to replace the first aid stuff, so like the Band-Aids and that type of stuff, because obviously that's all we really have used. And that's going to lower the cost from the $100 to he said $7 to $20-ish. So yes, $500 unless something drastic happens.
So this is just to replenish the safety kit, the first aid kit.
Yes. And yes,
You're not buying boots or,
no, that goes under you.
Make a motion for the department request, $500. Any other
discussion? So you just don't go out and replace your own safety kit? You have somebody come and replace it for you?
Yes, that's the way they've done.
Why do you do that?
I couldn't tell you. I had the thought process of doing it myself. Yesterday, whatever day it was, yeah, it was yesterday, when I got that $129 bill to push it to the different, what I have, is what George,
Yeah, so most of it's labor.
most likely, yes.
I don't know if it has something to do with the MMA, the insurance, yes. Especially for the garage. I know we do our own for the rec programs, all of the first aid kits that are in the director's office, I went through recently and I did that myself. I went through everything that was expired.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Cintas, I think it has,
It's just the garage, the one at garage that we use over there at Public Works.
The ones we do for the rec program, 'cause every program gets a first aid kit in the summertime, I do go through and I do that myself. So,
What about the, Prince Thomas Park one? Do they do that as well in the summer?
So we do that with all our stuff that we have.
Maybe you should make a change and do them yourself.
you have to check the insurance
Yes, it
first,
would all be about.
just to make sure that that's okay
Yep.
with the garage.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
Aye.
You're opposed?
Eight to two.
He opposed, David opposed too?
Yes. David, would you
No, no,
oppose?
no, David voted for. David
Okay.
voted aye.
Thank you,
9-1.
thank you.
All right, item 0063 communications, department request $800.
This needs to be changed to $1,512.
Thank you. Is Motor Brain doing the bathhouse camera monitoring?
So that is a little bit of a blur for me. When me and Dennis were going over this budget originally, that $600 comes out of a different account. I left it in there because I never figured out what account it comes out of. It's a one-time yearly fee, wherever it is. Melissa was supposed to get that information for me, but not here anymore, so I never got the information. So really the only reason that I'm asking for what I did is mine, the two cell phones are $126. Yeah,
They're both with the same company?
that's. It's all the other phones.
Wow, that's expensive.
We have a 2 or 3 year contract on that.
It's not, I have no idea.
You don't have access to that. You know, it's, so we don't go over to Wayne, but you can't, you won't tell us anything by phone. So there's things we can.
Motion, that we research it.
I think we need to go out to bid with all these cell phones.
Biggest thing is the coverage, so where you're at, I was out on Twin Tower Lane. And I had signal on the Verizon phone and nothing on the US cellular phone. When I come back and hit Top Down dip, I lost all the signal on the Verizon phone, I had signal on the US cellular. Completely inaccurate. So if we wait another year, we have 2 towers coming. I've got to it's the bill, it's gonna take a while. If we wait another year to do that bidding, we might have better service possibilities, but at this point, we're not gonna have the price. Yeah, there is no AT&T budget.
So you're saying 126 times 12 is 1512, is that how you came up with that?
And you added the,
Did I have the 16? No, that 1.6 times 12 is.
1512, so you're not putting the 600 in there?
No, because like I said, Melissa told me that comes out of a different account.
Can we maybe direct the town manager to find out what account that comes from?
Guess they're gonna have to, if they're gonna spend the $600.
Yeah, we need to research it. I mean, I think in the way this room for this thing, $30 to $60 a month.
It's
There's
not,
no reason for us to be 100% over.
Mine's
Yeah.
28.
Hmm.
Every month.
30 to help on this spot around here yet, or I had a contract for $56. All right,
We gotta do that.
hopefully we'll get if when the treasurer comes in, we can. take care of it. I'll make a motion for 1512.
Any other discussion?
We can push the envelope, try to get that.
All right, all those in favor? David?
Nay.
All right, 9-1. All right, item 0073, department request $17,000.
Okay,
That's projected revenues, not expense.
too bad we couldn't get like a breakdown of what you spend $17,000 on for that program.
That's the revenue. The project.
Last year and then 17 this year.
17, aren't you asking for 17,000?
That
It says
that's what
projected
we're
revenues.
projecting the revenues.
Oh, you're not asking for any expense.
No, it's a projected, that's what we're projected to. I actually hope it to be up because we're raising prices for the program.
So the 18,000 was last year's projection and 17 is this year's projection?
Well, how come in this current budget, there's 17,000 in the current budget for you to spend for rec programs?
I'm just telling, yeah, there is. I don't know how that one works. I was confused with that one either. I asked Ron and I asked Dennis, and they both said that this is just revenue. It has nothing to do with.
I think what we buy, the rec programs, like the equipment and things, we use whatever money we take in as the rec programs and we use that to spend.
No, you can't do that. No, that's not good accounting. I think what they're saying is the revenues are projected for this year is gonna be 18, and you're asking 17 to spend.
That's probably correct, because I did have it, I projected us to make more than we did last year, simply because we raised prices.
Yeah.
But I think that they asked for 17,000 last year,
Yeah, they
which
did.
is
It's
why
in-
it's
it's in the
one year
budget.
with this,
Yeah, it's in
We
the
have-
budget for this year. The current year you're in is
Yes.
17.
yes.
So I guess in the future, if you could break down like, football is gonna cost us this, swimming is gonna cost us this, you know, whatever.
Well, we can actually do that.
Yeah, that would be
I say it
nice to know.
used to be broken out like that, but I can't remember when
It has a lot to do with too, I mean, it'll be easier to do that now, but I know that people before me, they focus on two sports. We're focusing on all the sports, so it'd be easier to. do
I
that.
think it would be good if you had an idea, like how much you spend, how many participants you got, and then the revenues for each of the programs that you have, like track and field and t-ball and you have that.
Yeah, I have that information right now.
If you look at the expense detail, you can see where the budget is 17,000.
Yeah, that's
The
what
they collected on 13,807.
they spent this year, 13,800. They collected 150. According to the credit is money coming in, debit is money being spent. Well, there is revenue, but it shouldn't be reflected in the budget. It should be reflected in your revenue accounts, because later on, we're gonna talk about it.
So if you want, I have the program breakdown, from fall, summer, and winter of what it brought in last year. Want me to read off?
Revenue or expenses to go with it.
How many kids were in each program and that type of stuff?
So like, say, for this,
And the total.
so say for example, you wanted to look at track and field. Last summer, we had 49 kids, grades pre-K through 10. From towns of Lincoln, Madawaskanis, Mattawamkeag, Gwynn, Hamden, Lee, Newburgh, Lowell, Chester, Enfield. We charge $25 per resident, $35 per non-resident. We do cap prices for families that live in Lincoln. It's an $80 cap for non-residents. It's a $100 cap. Our potential total was $1,425, but 33 kids cap.
And so how much did you spend on track and field equipment? To get that revenue, you have to spend some money.
I can tell you right now that nothing was spent on track and
There you
field
go.
last year. Now, we just spent money on track and field.
Yeah, but that's
but yes,
good to see in next year's
Yes,
budget, like how
and we
much
will-
you spend in each.
We've been keeping track of that so
Yeah.
that we will be able to have that.
That'd be
next year.
I'm looking at the revenue pages and I'm going to find those numbers that you just.
I pulled this
It's
from,
all from our file, from like our
Yeah, I
Excel
don't think they
sheets.
break it down like that in our revenue. Our revenue report will only say,
totals like.
Parks and Rec
Yeah.
total.
I'm ready to see the Parks and Rec.
Well, there you go. Let's go check here. Might go to here. You see library and recreation revenues, there's recreation programs is right there, 18,000 for the 2027 current budget that we're working in. That we're working. It's on
Yeah, okay,
page 5.
so as of March 31st, they collected 11,600.
Yeah, that's it. I make a motion for the 17,000.
Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And again, I'll just put in the minutes that you'll get us this
Okay.
next year. for-
Opposed, because I don't fully understand what's going on here. We need to hear the double dipping in revenue. This is a revenue. Yeah, true.
No. What they're showing on that line is they're saying, we're gonna project that we're gonna take in 18,000 in this current budget that we're working on. And they only wanna spend 17. So if you look at the revenues,
All the other money above is all the labor, all the consumables, all the uniform.
Right,
to produce it. So,
right,
so what's this extra money for? To say,
this is the charges that they charge for each kid to participate.
which is the revenue.
Right, and it is
which is-
reflected in revenue paid, we
Yeah.
haven't got that part yet.
So this shouldn't be in.
Well, I know,
Why
it
not?
is confusing,
It's
yeah,
not confusing, it's wrong.
Well, listening to your explanation, basically what it's saying is, if we get 12,000, then we're gonna spend 12,000 for equipment. If we get 17,000, we'll spend 17,000 for equipment. If we only get 8,000, that's all we're gonna spend for equipment.
I guess. In the future, if you could break this down more closely for equipment, then we would be able to maybe say. Okay, well, you can offset some of the wages too with this revenue, not just equipment. That's, I think, what you're talking about, Ted.
Yeah, it's just very, no other place have we done this. Mix
Yeah.
the revenues in with the expense.
Right.
Which is just bad. I'm opposing it for bad from, that's why I'm opposing.
I agree.
That's it. Gotta be consistent, consistently right or wrong, be consistent.
Vote passes 9-1.
All right,
Item 0103, Community Center, Department request $20. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
are we actually doing any fundraising?
Yes, so our basketball tournament that we put on every year, if the revenue that we
That
make
goes
from
into
that
that.
goes to that account.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0.
So there's nothing in here for a lease on a pickup,
This is where I was going to add $5,000.
this is one you want,
Yes.
0620. And you intend to lease the truck?
Oh, no, not let's just replacement or lease a pickup truck. I just,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is this the 3/4 ton truck that's in poor condition?
yes,
And did I understand correctly earlier in the discussion that a possibility is passing over to the rec department a truck now used by Public Works, and we're gonna replace that Public Works truck with funds that are already set aside?
Well, that's what we're recommending, but
hopefully.
that's what we're recommending,
Thank you.
but this is for future replacement.
Yes, this is to start building up for future.
Make a motion for 5,000.
Second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, we're not doing anything really consistent in this budget. It's either, if it's a lease, supposedly it's supposed to go in this budget, but if it's a purchase, then yeah, it should go in the town. So. We don't.
Really, it doesn't. Yeah. All right, all those
So
in
the-
favor?
No,
Oh,
wait,
fine.
may I? So the
ahead.
next truck to replace is the 2018 Ram,
Correct.
and what do you think the life expectancy on that is, 10 or 12 years? So we have to replace that 2028, 2030?
Yes, most likely. If everything continues on the path it's on right now around him,
And-
hopefully.
And a new truck runs how much?
Well, right now, around 50 to 60.
That 2018 Ram is a two-wheel drive, correct?
No, it is four-wheel drive,
Oh, it is four-wheel drive?
but it's just a thing.
Okay, single cab, yeah, because we bought it, like, we got a deal on that for like 19,000 new.
It is a plain Jane. It has, I mean, it has manual windows, so like it is as plain as it can be.
So we have maybe 5 years left on that truck?
85, good lord, yeah.
85.
Oh, maybe 5, yes, probably. Maybe, I would say 5 to 7, somewhere in that range.
And again, how much is a new plain Jane truck?
Anywhere from 50 to 60,000.
Does it have to be a truck, or can we buy I'm gonna call it a stripped down SUV?
It needs to be a truck.
It needs to be a truck for our water tank and other things that we use.
Fine, thank you, okay. So
Oh, yeah.
50 to 60, so maybe it should be 10 grand a year?
You don't have to put them
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
That's what we worked with Dennis was, like, if you move this truck over in 5 years, you would move the next truck over to replace the other one.
Right.
You know, and just keep this cycle. I know we can't spend for, the next town for and all that, but it's, if you keep this moving. If you every 5 years, we would keep the public works truck going in that direction. Then you're getting 10 years out of a pickup instead of buying a used pickup. So you're getting 5 years of public works, when you end the 5 years at the wreck. Then you're trading that pickup in to start with another public works.
Like, say,
So that way you
It's just for maintenance after 5 years in public works, and then it goes over there, works most of the summer. So the maintenance goes down a lot, and then, after 10 years, you start to get 100,000 miles on the truck. So then you're looking at, if you get pay a trade on it, then you're talking maybe 50,000.
Keep the idea going of public works getting new every
Like 4 to 5
4
years,
or 5 years.
and then cycle on that.
New
same thing.
cycle.
I think that's better as a used truck too, because you know what the maintenance is on
Yes,
that, and
right.
as opposed to buying a used truck from a dealership or something, you don't know what they were using it for, you don't know if they were getting regular oil changes, at least we know
Yeah, I know.
what it was
I know
being
the-
used for
I
at
understand
public
where-
works.
Well, the other
Okay,
thing
so-
that-
So Public Works is suggesting that we pass on to the rec department one of its trucks when it's time to replace that truck?
Right.
Yep.
And what do you think the trade-in value for that truck might be? 35, 40 grand?
Well, that's what he was just pricing up, similar truck, similar miles. So
Yeah,
that's what we're saying, roughly $30,000. He had almost that amount, say for a truck, with all of his capital reserves, and so we would put that into public works with our money, and almost, be able to purchase a truck, at budget time. If we put our 20,000 that we have in capital coming up this year, then that would give us enough to buy.
But you're not gonna get trade-in of 30,000 on a used public works.
Right, well, the trouble is that,
If you traded it in on
Right.
a new truck.
Right.
You would not get that trade-in.
right, we're talking what he would have to buy,
Right,
similar truck.
No, I'm talking trade-in value on your truck.
right, that's what he's talking about, Dave.
Probably, yeah, get back, get 20,000, it's all, it's used for plowing and.
So, okay, so, all right, so $5,000 a year that was previously suggested is adequate because we've got to cover the trade-in value.
Yeah, I would think it would.
I would think it would be.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Again, keep in mind, if you could look at Salisbury and Water District, when they do their cycling through, that would usually they take care of their trucks and they have quite a regular turnover of their vehicles. Okay. So we're voting on 5,000.
All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. Are you doing public works now? I was hopeful, but yep, we can.
It says on the schedule, we're supposed to go to finance, utilities, social services, personnel and debt service.
They changed
You
it.
want to do public work?
They changed it. They're doing rec and public works.
Oh, okay.
That's what was decided.
That's what everybody thought.
But I don't know, wasn't there one about boat landing on the rest, boat landings? Cause I was gonna interrupt you, cause on boat landing say zero, and, you know, the boats and pond, we plow, sand, maintain a mile and a half so people get to their boat landing. the
I
town
think
boat
we even
landing.
passed it, but we never,
They did, we,
not this year.
yeah, cause they used to pay, the fee is 300 for the people there, and they used to pay double.
Probably gonna take note.
Wherever I just saw that.
Right here.
When I was gonna interrupt you.
Right here.
Yeah,
And this is current year budget, but it's got 0.
right, so,
We
you know,
did that last year. Looks like.
right, well, if you want your boat landing open for ice fishing and stuff. You might get to work a little here, because we plow it, we take care of the whole thing all year long for them. And they used to throw us, I mean, $400, I mean, at least it chipped in for the town, you know, for the people down in there. I mean, we fixed the top of the road for $6,000.
Somewhere in this budget, there is fees for road maintenance. I don't remember what budget it's in.
Public works, probably.
But we did used to get, not a lot of money, but a little bit, you know, every bit counts. I mean, especially if they wanna have people, they wanna advertise how wonderful
Roadway
the
maintenance,
bond is.
yeah. Roadway maintenance is 2,900 this month.
Okay.
I used to be in charge of the road time.
All right, items 001 and 0001 and 0002. Do you have any questions or comments on those sections?
So just for clarity, we're in the public works area now. Is that right?
That's correct.
Page 61, yeah.
Okay. So 001 and 002 combined, there's a 12.5% increase between fiscal year 26 and fiscal year 27. Why?
Because of the overtime and my wages have gone into it now. Dennis's wages was half down the transfer and half public works. So now I'm in public works, I don't have anything to do with transfers. My full wages will be.
So last year Dennis's wages were half in transfer and half in public work.
Yep.
So now fully the director is in this budget. Do you actually have a public works administrative assistant?
Yes.
Mark, sometimes it's not Mark. She comes over and does the payroll and the credit report. She comes over 2 hours a day, Monday through Thursday.
So your staff is the same as it was last year?
Besides my position where I come from, public works, we're down one person. we have one position. It's gonna be open.
Are you gonna advertise for that?
Yes, I was told to wait until after the budget from Dennis before I started that.
So these positions, you've got a person in here to cover that person you're gonna hire, or do we have to add to that?
No, position, but yeah, we haven't added no position for that.
Why do you need to hire summer hires?
Actually, that is going to, the sidewalk in the summer help is gonna be one position now. Then it's just having to hire one person for that. Because the rec director used to come over and run the sidewalk track in the wintertime. But now he's gonna be busy and he's not gonna be able to do it, so. He told me to hire a white. It's a small equipment operator, he does the sidewalk plow. And he does the airport, does the same thing Cody did in the wintertime. And in the summertime, we used to have 2 summer help that come in. And when we took on the back truck, the summer help usually goes with the back truck to suck out the basin. We used to have 20,000 in capital budget to do the basin. And we moved that money over to summer help to help the guy go around, because we have 200 basins that we take care of. But we only used to be able to do half each year with the 20,000, because we contract that out. Now we have a back sweeper truck, so now we do that with our men. So that used to be the summer help, so we've taken the 2 summer help out and we just hired 1 full-time equipment operator / sidewalk guy.
Okay, so this, summer hires can be taken out of the budget?
Yep.
So we can reduce your budget by 23,000.
No, because he's in with a sidewalk guy now, so it's. We're not gonna have the summer hires, except just a full-time.
So
position.
instead of the sidewalk guy getting 19,250, you're gonna add 2340 plus 1950, and that's his salary.
Yep, it's gonna take, like, your way your public works too, that can move that up to 6 people, is what I figured out to do. Because you're gonna take out your summer help and your summer hire. You're gonna take out your sidewalk plow.
And he's
Right.
gonna start off at that rate as everybody else?
No, you start out as a probation period.
Right, but so it'll be a different rate,
Yep,
this 1851.
this pay is for 3% cost of living. That's what we were told to put in. As,
So your public works contract is already built in at 3%.
no, we just put it in as that's what could be projected.
Don't you have a union member?
We do have a union contract coming up, it's gonna start negotiating tomorrow. From the past, they never put that in,
So these wages do reflect a 3% cost of living.
and like the sidewalk plow guy and summer hires, them were never updated for like years. So I've updated all of them numbers. So that's why it looks like such an increase. Like in the past, people just left it, and I put it in the right
What
number,
are the numbers?
right there, some of the numbers with 3%.
So if I hear you correctly, Public Works 2, we're gonna go from 5 to 6. Sidewalks gonna go to 0.
Yep.
And summer hire is gonna go, from 2 to 1,
Nope, for 0.
0.
to 0.
Yep.
So that's a 41,000, roughly $41,000 cut.
I think that's 23, probably 6 people. To the 6.
Yeah, you have to move that
Yeah.
money to the 6th person
Right.
to add to that line that's now 6.
Mm-hmm.
So the 23 and 19 gets moved up to the 242. Add them all together. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
So the one that goes away is the sidewalk.
Well, nothing really goes away in wages, the dispositions
The
that
different position goes to.
you can move them.
You're gonna get rid of the 19,250, the 2304, and then add
And
40.
242, 216.
The Public Works 2 will be at 2329. Although they're gonna have a probationary period, but if you just times 2080, it's gonna be roughly 48,450 for that position. So
So what's the new number? 242 is now what number?
so 42.
284,506.
Yeah.
What did it bring?
That's what I get to.
All right.
I got 296.59. Because
But we don't like.
so, so the public works two person is gonna be making the 23.29 after
Yeah,
90 days.
For the probation.
So essentially, it's gonna be a little,
Yeah,
probably like $1,000 less, so, but it's gonna be like
okay.
289,000.
I urge Public Works to reconsider replacing two part-time people with three part-timers with one full-timer. If you switch from part-time to full-time, you add a significant amount in fringe benefits.
The sidewalk guy and the hot dog man.
It used to be me, David. It was me. It was that third position is a full-time position already. It's not, if we want a part-time. It was just it was split part-time between Parks and Rec and Public Works.
So you're not adding any more fringe benefits.
No, that's why we took the two summer help right out.
The summer hires were part-time or they were full-time?
They were part-time, but the sidewalk tractor was full-time because we went to the rec in the summer. So he was a full-time employee, half a year with us, half a year with the rec.
So we're not adding any full-time people, is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
The town is not adding any full-time people.
Correct.
Thank you.
No?
Overtime increase, assuming just winter storms and plowing and.
Yes.
So,
Pretty much all of our overtime comes in winter time. They used to budget 300 hours. That's on the low end. So we use it for 350.
I assume if we have a mild winter, then that goes down.
Yeah.
Bad winter, it's gonna go up quite a bit, so.
Who makes the policy as to when you go out, like, is it 2 inches on the ground, 3 inches on the ground? Make that policy.
That's on the storm. We can't really let it just sit out there because it's all stuff. Pack it down and then 10 times more of the job and try to get it off. So we try to get out there when it's fast. Much more efficient.
Alright, no other questions on that. We'll move to 0010 professional development, department request $1,100.
So in the current budget, you've only spent $300.
Yes, we take advantage of a lot of the training from the OT down in Bangor and Spring. And we do a lot of online training. Try to do some training at the drive in different departments. So we're kind of going down from 2250 down to 1100. So.
And the dues that you budgeted in the 200, is that just for one person?
Yep, that's the director. Just part of the public work, you're associated to, just the director.
Make a motion for 1,100.
Second. Discussion?
Actually, do you intend to spend within this current year's budget at all?
We got one more thing coming up. We got one more training, they just got done in training, we'll be getting billed on that, maybe $200, I believe. And we have one coming up because we just hired a person, we've hired a couple people last fall that will be going to the training, but usually they're $35 for the training, so I'm thinking maybe $300 out of that.
Probably wouldn't be a good idea to set that aside in a reserve account. source?
So it wouldn't be a good, or would
Or
be,
would it?
not gonna hurt anything.
Yeah, so if you spend another $300, you're still gonna have $1650 left out of this budget.
Right.
And you could actually budget to zero and then put that into a reserve.
Oh,
I'm gonna amend my motion and I'll put zero in this account and set up a reserve account for whatever's left, hopefully $1,500.
I second that. Any other discussion? All those in favor? David,
Aye.
10-0. Item 0012, advertising improvement, department requests $600.
Spent in this year's budget.
a lot of what Dennis started off the year, I hate to throw him under the bus, but a lot of times, this is a new item for, line item for us, so he was charging stuff to other accounts. So this didn't get charged to the right account as far as the recruitment. I had just, I had two, but this went through because we had spring cleanup we put in the paper and things like that, you know, we just had to hire a position, so we do have a couple that have just come out of there. A lot of times we utilize trying to get a plug in the paper, just having the reporter come over and we try to get 3 pieces of paper. So most of the time it's just public notices or job ads. So a lot of times it's not gonna be unless we have a big turnover.
But this year you had a turnover and nothing's been spent.
Right, we just spent it, we just spent it, so it's not showed up on the audit. Like you said, at most ends are around it's $85. Yeah, I think.
There's a motion for the 600.
Second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. 0024, uniforms, department request $5,600. See, that's basically spent down.
This is contractual.
Just the contract, yep.
Make a motion for the 5600.
Second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. Item 0040, vehicle fuel, department request $51,070.
David Moisen suggests raising it to 55,000.
With your convoluted 25%, right?
I used my Ouija board.
Yeah. I'll second that.
Which made seconded, discussion? Yeah, hopefully, like, so that gets closer to the actual vote, so, but. Anything else, all those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. 0041, vehicle maintenance, department request 53,800, 53,800.
Why so much higher this year than last year?
Because a lot of it is the tariff and shipping. The prices, outrageous. Shipping
What are we shipping?
parts, you know. For instance, today, we got a plow pin in that we ordered back in December, and it just got through customs. The part was $75, by the time we got through shipping and tariff, it was almost $300.
Oh, so you don't buy USA?
Yeah, you won't say stuff, there's. Probably a lot more money. I would love to.
So are these vehicles that are currently in poor condition, are they on track to be replaced at some point?
They are they're gonna be talking about whatever they have been taken out of.
They have been taken out?
We gotta move, drive. Yeah, we're gonna take off what we can utilize the part, and then they'll be put out to. Up here,
Where does that money go when it comes back in?
they go to the general fund. everything we auction off goes to the general fund. It makes no sense to me, but that,
Are most of the, are all the trucks now on lease, or is it
all but one.
all but one?
Yeah.
Is that scheduled to be leased this year or no?
No, next year, actually, our first lease is up, which is truck 2 and loader. The truck 2 will be paid for and the loader will be paid for, and then that will, is actually that lease will end. We'll be trying to look to replace that, and the one truck that we own, we'll be trying to look to replace that one.
How's that been working out for leasing over?
Good, but it's really sad to show, like truck 2 has been damaged quite a bit lately. It's right at its end of its, 5-year cycle. Yeah. So if we keep this lease going, it's gonna be really good. The electrical, we got a lot of faults. And it's starting to show its age, so if we keep the lease going, it'll be the same payment, just in another new truck.
So you have to do the maintenance on the truck, even if they leave?
Just wearable parts, yeah, the wear tires, hoses, you know, snow plow, stuff like that, all the wearable. You know, tires, when we get puncture a tire,
So you would think
Red.
this would go down rather than go up from this year.
well, Dennis dropped it down like $20,000 the first year. And if you look at the expenditures,
Yeah.
we're over this year, so if I wanna be realistic with you, the price of everything is through the roof. So for us to replace a tire and a rim, you're talking $1,200 to $1,500. So if I do that with one truck, you know, that, cause we're plowing, you know, stuff happens. And do we have to replace push arms, all that stuff?
But the goal for the lease was like, again, that
Right.
stuff is gonna
After
be,
5 years, yeah, so a lot of stuff is covered under warranty, the
Yeah.
electrical.
that stuff's more like you can kind of predict, not exactly, but you know, if the cost goes up 20% on a tire, then
Yeah.
that's easier to predict than you got a 10-year-old truck and, oh, now you gotta put a new engine in it, go spend $40,000.
And that's what we're doing right now, like the truck that we're selling, we just put a $30,000 motor run it 1 year. And we'll be lucky to get $500 when we go to put that truck out, because no one wants it. We tried to trade it in twice, and they offered us $5,000 for a trade. For that 1-ton dumper that we tried to get earlier. And we got offered $5,000 for these 2 trucks that we put $30,000 into. And used them 10,000 miles.
And that's because you can correct me if I'm wrong, but all the newer trucks there's a lot more electrical stuff with them versus the old, 20-year-old trucks. 20 years ago, there was hardly any electrical components on them. And electrical is what's gonna fail first.
Everything's a mission, yeah, that's going into a truck. And we're hoping in 27 they're cutting back on this mission. That's on these new ones. No, we got a 250 gallon tote, we buy it by bulk. Nope, never had no trouble with that. We used to have a 50-gallon tank and that crystallized a lot on it. We went to a 250-gallon tank for the pump and we've had no issues with that at all. Right.
Most all of them on that.
We haven't had no problem with the setup that we have from Dyson right now. As far as the depth system on them, as far as the fluid.
And as far as like all the lease trucks, has there been any that would have had some big maintenance, that's covered under warranty that?
The first one, it was less than a year old and radiator. For instance, it was almost $10,000. And we had to eat the cost on the drive shaft. That went, that come apart, but they covered the radiator.
Do you foresee this is gonna go down eventually after the tariffs go down and such?
I really don't think so. I mean, get a lot of moving parts, something, get out there plowing, like he said, I mean, tire and rim, sticking on the dollar.
I think what you're gonna,
We think.
well, what you're gonna see is once they get all the trucks, you'll see like, again, like if it's 55,000, you'll see that more steadily than 55,000 and then unexpended purchase of 40,000, the other one of 30,000, and then it's over budget by 100,000. Because that's what was happening beforehand.
You know, we're spent this year, but
Yeah, there was a costly repair for the grader. The grader is 27 years old, so. You know, knowing what we're gonna have for repairs on that is kind of hard to predict. We rehabbed it a few times, but
What was your motion for?
I'm sorry.
Good.
53.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. 0050, building maintenance, department request 8,500.
What did we do this year that we spent 10,600?
most of the expenditures are, we had furnace repairs, door repairs. You know, where springs break in the doors, you know, where it's emergency call in the wintertime. For them to come up from PDQ to fix the doors when they're wide open in the wintertime. We have a yearly maintenance for them. They come up and fix them, but when one breaks in the middle of winter. It's usually quite expensive to get them to come up, fix them.
Motion for the 8,500?
Second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. 0043, general supplies, department request 41,000. Make the motion for the department request 41,000.
Second.
Discussion. Let's say these seems to be, again, pretty steady across the board year to year.
The cutting edges, the prices went up, that's why we took some money out of the hand tool, transferred it up to that, the cutting. It's pretty expensive. Get them one place for it, I think we get them from.
We get them from all our dealers because I do a lot of research on specialized cutting edges. So I try to get cutting edges that last us 2 or 3 years and get the best quality out of them because if we can change them once every 2 or 3 years, it's better than changing 3 or 4 times a year with just a steel and a carbide and having guys potentially get hurt in my eyes. You know, if it's the same price. I look at one cutting edge on the loader is $6,000, but it's a cutting edge that we change every 3 years. Compared to the normal cutting edge that's $4,000 that we have to change every year. So not only do we get more length out of it, it's less guys maybe potentially getting hurt by lifting on these cutting edges, doing it during a storm. You know, we're out there 20 hours and then they gotta try to take cutting edge during a storm. It's just more safe for the guy.
You know, like in private sector at Donby, all of them. Typically in spring will be a couple weeks to a month. Where
Oh yeah, they do a good deal on what they have left over to stock. Yep.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. 0060, safety compliance, department request $3,000. I'm assuming this is probably gonna be the same thing as like, because of the rec department, you have
Yeah,
to change out the,
the lift and the cranes are involved in this, and
just to inspect those two pieces.
Okay.
We had 30 plus fire extinguishers. Oh. That pretty much. chooses it out. There again, the list and the overhead crane that we have, that never got taken out of safety compliance, and to me, that should come out of this one. It shouldn't be coming out of, you know, building maintenance or anything like that, and in the past, that's where it's come out of. This year, I took it out of safety compliance, and to me, that's where it should come out of. It needs to be done annually for BOL, just like you guys were mentioned earlier, the first aid boxes, Printex does ours, does the transfer station, does all three, and that's to keep us in compliance with safety. And that usually costs us between $30 and $50 weekly. They come out, service it, clean it, do everything. We replace everything in it that's expired. You know, keeps us in BOL compliance.
So that's why you're overspent this year. You took something out of safety that wasn't budgeted.
Right, previous years, they just took it out of wherever they had money, and this year, I took it out of what I feel should have come out of safety.
So should we put the 3,300 in this year, which is what it's spent so far?
I'd say so.
Well, the 3,300.
Second. Discussion?
Again, if you can find out if Cynthia is related to this shape program through the May, maybe you could drop that, take care of it yourself, or have somebody else do it. That might be cheaper. I don't know.
Uniform company do that some sort of-
They do, and it was a lot more expensive, so we stayed with Centex just because of that, and we did have a problem a couple of years ago with them doing a lot more than they needed to do, so we reined them in on our end. So, you know, $30 to $40 monthly, you know, to me, is a lot better than what they were doing.
You said weekly, so
I mean, I'm sorry, I mean,
Monthly is better.
yep.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. Item 0063, communications, department request $624.
That's just the number that was left in there from Melissa, because she paid for the phone. So. That's the number that's been in there for. For one phone, for one phone.
That's outrageous.
I'll make a motion for 624.
I don't know, not certain, we only go down and take that phone. I'm like 525.
I don't get it. Why there's such a difference in the different departments?
Police chief said he's got a pretty good program going on, he was gonna look into.
Yeah.
He reached
With
out
the
to
town water contact. He can fix our, he will have no problem. He can work on the book thing. We don't have that connection, so we could reach out and contact. And say something.
Might be good idea. Might be the good time to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, saying that we receive like $100 a year. And that's the bookkeeper.
We're waiting.
So that,
No reason why we can't go.
and we maintain a mile and a half down all year long. Including plowing out for Portland in the winter.
I wonder if that comes from
I don't know, but
road maintenance.
I don't know, but I just don't wanna lose it, and I know the other money went to like November, so there was a couple places got a little money. So,
Was it 10?
Jamie, as long as we don't lose it. Okay, maybe it just got moved.
So do we have a motion?
Yes, we do. 624.
Second.
No,
Oh, so already have a second? All those in favor?
Got the gold phone.
David?
Nay.
9-1.
I think you need to. You're gonna do it? Dan, because if we push it right through, then I was going to get that number down. Well, maybe next year they won't have any.
I think, US Senator installed and going to put it, but you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, that's not what you got on. But then some, but politics,
Well, I didn't get that impression when we talked about it in the rec department, so now we're getting a different grip.
We've got different problems than us. It's actually works on three things, but Android do not have well. It doesn't have a phone, it doesn't. Well,
Everyone doesn't have the same phone.
Yeah.
We got that
you
one?
got, you got to do it.
I'm the only Android guy.
I wouldn't say that it's great. I mean, I'm a Verizon guy, so I swear up and down by them, but I prefer the US Cellular one, but I don't pay for it, so I'm not complaining either way.
I think we should make a recommendation to the council to corral all these cell phones into one contract.
Around cell phones to one contract. All right, that's in there. You're making a motion, Steve, and have your.
All those in favor?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
10-0. Item 0083, salt and calcium, department request. 149,575.
How many times do you go over the gravel roads with this liquid calcium for that $10,000?
Well, then, I have a tracker at the garage, but I keep track of everything. Last year we used just about 8,000 gallons. So every year it varies, you know, if you get a lot of rain one year, you use less. You get a dry year, and you use more. So last year it was brought up to the budget committee that we increased it to $20,000. And we didn't use nearly that amount with the rain we had last year, so. I moved the numbers around to reflect what we actually use. If you look at the tonnage, we've always budgeted out 1,200 tons. I moved it up to 1,500 tons. And the price went from 98 down to 93. That's more reflective to what the state is giving us for a price. We've always gone out to the state for the bid. We go with the state, go with all the communities. We get the state bid, it's already out for the process right now.
Yeah,
We don't have the price right now. They've given us an estimate of what could be. We have to buy 80%, but we've always bought between 80 and 100% of what we've contracted out. So keeping track for 21, when I took over the foreman position, I kept track for every year, and we've used between 1,400 and 1,500 tons every year.
that's all, but I was talking about the liquid calcium.
Yeah, that's all. I moved that number down to $10,000 because we only use one tank. We only can store one tank.
For this year, this fiscal year 26, you're going to have about 39,000 left over.
No, because we just got the last. I don't know what your numbers are showing, but we just got the last salt order. We have salt sitting in the shed, so we can stop putting up salt there
For next year,
for next year.
so but for 26, you put all the salt down, what you're gonna put down, right?
Right. Yes, we will start this summer because we can't start getting salt until October. But if we will start hauling sand like on rainy days, we'll start putting up salt in this year.
But what you said for this fiscal year.
Yeah.
Is 107,000.
That's gone up, the one payment on there you haven't seen because we bought salt in end of April. To fill the garage up.
But you're gonna use that for next year.
Yeah, we're gonna use that for next year. So we always have that to put back into the garage on this year. It's always there.
They gotta pay for it now, it's been delivered,
Right, but it's for next year.
they can't.
Right, so we keep that same number. Like I said, we bought 1,500 tons and have 300 sitting in the garage. Because if we don't have that sitting there now, we can't get it until October.
Mhm.
So I can't stop putting up my sand pile. And that would be late for us. We don't have the truck power, put it up that way.
How much do you think this bill's gonna be when you get it?
Usually, if I order 10 loads, it's $30,000.
But what do you order? It's
Yeah, if I ordered 8 loads, So it's roughly 28,000, 28 to 30,000.
So.
Yeah, it's, last year, I think it was just over $85 a ton. They're expecting it to be around 90. They told me just to be around 93, so that's the number I put in, just to be on the safe side.
Make a motion for 149. 575.
Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
10-0. 0084, department request of $52,800.
We can take 4,800 for the gravel out of it. Cause we're gonna have. A lot of gravel left over from what Dennis had previously purchased from last. So
Should
we won't have to purchase.
department request of 48,000.
No, just the gravel and the.
Yeah,
under gravel.
Yep, so it'll be,
So you're changing that number to 48,000.
yes,
Make a motion for 48,000.
Second.
I'm sorry, what are we changing to 48,000?
The sand and gravel, they said you can get rid of the gravel, so it's just for this winter sand for 48,000.
So the bottom line, the total is $48,000?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. 0085 culverts, department request $7,000. See where we're spent on that line to 7,000 enough? Or is it, do we?
Yes, we need to spend 7,000 for free shipping.
so we don't, and shipping is very expensive on from what we're gonna need to cover, given the 7,000.
That's what we were told by all the vendors that we reached out to. 7,000 gets us free shipping, so if we drop below 7,000. Then we're gonna pay more for the shipping than we would for the extra culvert. So we used to get 9,000, they dropped us down to 7,000. They're right on the top for if you don't order enough. So you're over $200 or $300 because to get to 7,000, that's where the pipe gets you to that price. You know, if it's 69, that, 6,900, I gotta buy that other pipe to get over 7,000.
What's the energy value?
Mostly 15 to 18.
15 and 18 most of the time. If there's a special project we know we got coming, we'll get a 24. Very rarely do we buy 36 unless we have a special project, usually that comes out of that.
All ABS?
All ABS combined, yep.
Cause you're over on that budget by 4,300 roughly. Do you have any big projects this past year?
Yep, Dennis bought some metal pipe to replace some that lifted up because some of our ditches ain't deep enough on some of our in-town roads. So the culverts lift a lot, because they don't have enough material on top of them, so buying metal pipes are wicked expensive. So he tried that and we still have a problem with it. I mean, a lot of our ditches in town, a lot of people in town want to be able to mow their ditches and to be able to get into them and mow them and not have to weed whack and so you don't have deep ditches and when you have a culvert that's just sitting on the surface and you get a large volume of water, it's gonna lift the culvert.
It's trying on plastic, it's but most of the fabric on top of it.
Yeah, we've tried filter fabric, we've tried insulation under them, we've tried multiple things, but you just don't have the cover on them, they just, especially the plastic ones, rub the floor.
Cost, but it helps, seems to make a difference for us keeping from punching.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically, you need 1 foot of cover. If you get an-
Oh, we'd love to, we still have to be able to put a lot farther than that on our graded gravel roads, but a lot of our gravel roads don't even have that much material on them.
Yeah, so that's why you're punching, you can have structurally strong to do that. Yeah.
I make a motion for the 7,000.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. 0088, street paint, department request 3,300. I'll make a motion for the department request of 3,300. Discussion. I'm assuming the unexpended funds, because you're gonna be doing it here soon.
Just showed up at the grass product. I just ordered it, it was a little over 2,800. Anything over that, it will be if we have to buy any novels, pencils, anything like that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. 0086, roadway maintenance, department request, 2,900.
That one and the one below and each shovels and stuff.
The Colfax. I don't believe so, what do we have in there?
It's spent 3,500.
Yeah, we overspent by $600.
Yeah, we're overtime, I got Dennis wanted us to cut and. That's where can we cut? You know, I'd love to have 5,000 in there, there's bottles out there, and if they keep cutting pavement. Then it's gotta be filled, but if you guys, you know, if they wanna cut, we gotta cut somewhere. It's gotta be realistic where we can cut.
Yeah, I don't think cutting roadway maintenance is, we just spent
Oh, yeah,
millions of dollars to fix some roads.
We would need to cut. That's why this is so much.
you're gonna see that in the last line.
I want to go back to last time, stuff, everything was down, except for sand.
And I think it was just, I mean, he run our budget, so he knows, you know, where he thought he could cut, so it was easy for him to.
Again, I wouldn't be in favor of cutting road maintenance, but that's my opinion, I think.
I agree with you, George. The most expensive maintenance is deferred maintenance.
That is, yeah, I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, if you were repair those problems, by the way, thank you for putting Colfax not in water anymore. Thank you. Because you've seen it for so many years and your crew didn't do that. I'm quite pleased. I have to clap. Because most places I see that, they throw the Colfax right on the water, in the mud puddle. And I just shake my head. And then it's still going like now, and it's freezes at night and wonder why it popped off. So thank you. Yeah, I actually think we should increase it.
Yeah, I think I make a motion for 3,500.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's mostly budget related. Okay, so Mohawk Road in Lincoln, you cannot drive Mohawk, not unless you manage to straddle. They're not even potholes, they've sunk in. So that was the water project. So obviously it's going to be very expensive repair. Who pays for that? DPW or the water department?
It's taken care of it, I've already been talked to them. You see, they've been down with the brown side of the road, they're supposed to come in and repaint.
As soon as the pavement companies start
Yeah.
opening up, they will have to come in and come with all that.
We'll go into Enfield, not probably an extension going on.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
That is horrible.
Okay, so that's not gonna be on you guys at all.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. Item 0087, traffic signs, markers, department request 2,900.
Again, this year you haven't spent it all. You're planning on spending some this spring.
We just had a big order and it takes them probably a month to bill us. So you're probably gonna see it, it's probably being billed right now, so we'll probably get it within this week. All of our signs, to Sat One Street sign is $96 right now. So for these housing developments going in. You know, we're on the hook for usually 5 or 6 times, so that's how we. That's how we, you know, we guess that we're putting up 30 times, not what stolen or replaced. You know, that's what we average. Every year.
Town has to put up the signs for housing developments that are part of a subdivision.
Well, we put out the ones on the main road and we do go in like Coleman's up and we put out all of them ones in there. It helps out, especially a young crew on the fire department, not knowing where a lot of these back roads are. But if it gets stolen, in the past, we have not gone back in and replaced them. So in some parts, yes, we do, in some parts we don't. It's not a requirement from us. We don't even have to put them on town road. It's not a state law. So it's more just out 911.
I would think that would be part of the subdivision approval process.
And I think they have moved that into
Or
to a lot of stuff.
I was just worried about the moratorium on roads. I was not holding about the subdivision, so that's news to me that we're working on it today, so. I don't know offhand, I'll know more after we have our first planning board meeting, I'll go to get more information. And go to the when we get them all at once. So I'll information that's already provided. We can go from there.
I would think before you approve them, yeah, that you would make it a requirement that they pay for the roadside.
Not be able to approve them, so.
Well, I mean, that would be, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we could suggest it there because there are a lot of divisions that have no roads and you're not done to inspection. I don't know where these roads are at and they're not marked. They're not on any maps you can find. They're not on a tax map. As far as the roads, the properties are there, but the roads are so new, you can't find them. So they're having to call a contractor and try to guide you through them somewhere. So same thing for a police officer. You try to have someone in two places and if they're not there, it may have an address, but no mapping system connected to that address. And Google, as good as they are, do that.
Anything that's not, at least to you.
Well, we're gonna have another subdivision, we're a little on Upper Pond, we have so many already that it's growing so rapid.
I'll make a motion for 2,500.
25 or 29.
Excuse me, 20.
Motion been made, seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
I,
10-0. 0092 storm drainings, department request $1,500.
Why is this not the same as the culvert?
They've always had them in 2 separate storm drains or what, you go fix the grades. Around town, we buy cement, we buy grit. And we have to raise a sunken bases.
Got it, so that's just a just ban.
Yeah,
Except for the sewer one, they do the
right, the store does their own. The water
Bad
does
dog.
their own.
like Lemon Street.
So what about the, and again, I don't know if it's in capital, but the storm drains on Taylor Street, Dale Street? And then,
That's like a whole nother issue that needs to be addressed in capital. You know, like they pushed the can down the road for a lot of years and. I know at one time Dennis said there was a grant to do the. Engineering for it, and then that's as far as it ever got. So like Taylor Street, the younger drainage on that road.
yeah, but like I said, I've seen some of the drains and like, I mean, they look like they're from the 50s, so.
Oh, yeah, there's
Yeah.
some on our road that are just covered, fill up in here.
And go ahead, go ahead.
I do agree that these maintenance need to be done, but looking at our past history, we're not doing it. Fed 25, their budget $1,900, we spent $79. And so far this year in 26, we're a budget of $1,500, we only spent $9.
Because a lot of it, Dennis couldn't take them out of the right lineup. That's all I can tell you, I mean, we fixed bases for, since I've been there. And he's taking them out of general supply, or he's taking them out of different line items that he had money on. And he didn't realize that he had a storm drain one because they were so confusing. At one time, we had like 3 line items that said storm drain. There was one in capital, there was one in your budget, so there were so many line items that I guess it's maybe confusing or.
the money being spent someplace else.
being spent, I would do another one, like it's being out of general supply or something, taken out of that one.
Can we put the 1,500 in FY 26 in the reserve account?
I guess if it's not been spent, it has been spent.
Are you planning on buying any storm drain maintenance?
We do have 3 or 4 right by the town office, it's gonna have to, just, we're trying to get them done right after spring, so we get 2 maybe we can bonus.
Or you'll be spending this money then? Okay.
So, trouble is, they spent the money, it's just been very someplace else.
No, we haven't spent it this year, I'm saying the
They're
previous year.
going to, they said.
You're going back to like 25 and 24, I would say Dennis had taken it out of other accounts that I'm not aware of, because we've been doing storm drain. He probably just take it, like when we do paving roads, we have to lift all of our storm drain, so. In the past, he's probably taken it out of paving money. And just, taking it out of there, I don't know where he's taking it out of.
When you like, if you're gonna go do a storm drain, do you, cause I don't know the ins and outs of submitting, but. Do you submit it to the treasurer and then they take it out of the account, or do you?
Nope, Dennis used to submit his bill to Marcy, and then Marcy would take it out of the account. He was directed by Dennis to take them out of which account he wanted to take.
Okay, so the department heads.
Public Works Director can note on the bill, take this out.
Right, that's what we do, we put post-it notes on every bill, and Dennis used to do that, or if he was absent, I would do it. But if I was on vacation or whatever, something would get put in the wrong. And so, I don't know where he might have spent that in the past year.
I did have a question on the storm drains for Enfield Road. Are those, I know the state was looking at doing that. Is that happening this year, or?
They've been pushing it back, what, 8 years? 2018, it was budgeted 60,000, they moved it up to 179. And I believe 21, and we have capital money to fix that sidewalk. But if we repair the sidewalk and then they rip up the storm drain, we wasted all of our money, so.
Is
I'm
it-
kind of waiting on them, so.
Cause I think we're at the point now where it's a,
That's a,
it's a actual hazard, and all someone has to do is trip and fall, and it's gonna cost us more than it to actually repair the sidewalk, even if we gotta repair it and they tear it up, so.
Right, but we were actually talking about it today. Gonna discuss it. Yes, something has to be done.
Wait, they do- What's that?
What street is it?
Enfield Road from Hill Street up,
Oh, yeah.
and like I said, it's been on the state's supposed to do the storm drains, but they haven't given any indication.
It's in their work plan, their 3-year work plan, since 2018,
So, yeah,
so.
just like the sidewalks down here, that was.
Is it in this year's work plan or is it the future work? plan?
It's in this year's work plan. But it's been in this year's work plan since 2018. And it gets stick down again, it don't come north of Bangor. That's where the money stops.
Pretty much, unless,
Both. So they pretty much stop.
I'll make a motion for the 1,500 for the storm drain. maintenance.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. 0096 drug and alcohol testing, department request, $1,024. I'll make a motion for the department request, discussion. Is this a contract item through the union, city union?
Oh, it's through the federal.
Yeah.
TDL.
Okay, yeah,
What alcohol, that won't show up.
They have to have breathalyzer when they go for the drug test. We're in a pool with all the federal drivers, we have to go in the pool and they draw your name and we have to go down to Bangor. And sometimes it's just a drug test, and sometimes it's drug test.
any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
10-0. 0108 contractual services, department request $107,000.
How is the $65,000 reduction achieved?
We took a lot out of them when properties, because every year they put $100,000 in demoing property. And this year, we're demoing our first property right now. So, I mean, I don't know if Dennison is gonna be able to get a lot more properties done. You know, in his time, being a code enforcement, we had, you know, our troubles with code enforcement, so getting properties to condemn, we hired them out to get them ready to get tore down and hauled off, so. You know, we were told to cut the budget, and this was a good area, we figured this year to cut it.
These are my plans. Haven't been, what I've found so far is not from last yet, so it hasn't been already on that. So there are a couple of properties here, one on, McKenzie. That is getting worth more to do on Libby that we can look at and see. You know, it could be to the, one truck is plastic, the one is not, so that's on the homeowner, not on us. One's a barn behind the house, the whole barn is being about 15 years. So we could safety having in the fall of the house. So, but I haven't gotten that far as what I'm saying.
Why do we pay for the property though?
Only paid for by us if we foreclose on the property. The lack of taxes.
So you have 122,000 left in this year's budget. You're going to plan on spending that?
All the things that I'm trying to take, you know. One's gonna be the house. I've got 4 different paving jobs around town here that's gonna be coming out of that. Guide rails that have to be put in and bring that going, so. Probably within the next 2 weeks, you're gonna see, I think, some of that. Going. You're gonna spend 122 in 6 weeks? Well, I've got probably about 60 or 70 right now, about top of my head. With the manpower you got now, or? Yeah, because, the guide rail's coming up. I was told, and we already got the most, it's supposed to be done this week, for 3 different places on Cross Street. There's, pieces that need to be replaced on Town Pine Road. And down on the station road that need to hold brand new on both sides. People. Who's the contractor for work? And home, was the cheapest. Newton? Newton, yes. So you didn't go off the building? You went out to bid for it? Yeah, I would, yes, I called around and about bids and he was by far the cheapest, and pretty much he was the only one that could almost was the cheap. Everybody else was talking late fall, and I was told this needs to be done ASAP because of our project. And so they can go and come from that any line item and find it, even though it's not what the line item is. I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
Well, it's contractual services. It doesn't specifically state that, but it can be used for contractual services, which is what he's using it for. It's not listed in this year's budget. It's, yeah.
Okay, I'm just. That's just what we've done in the past, if we don't have houses to condemn, like if we've had problems with roads, or for instance, over the library, they had a hazard over there that was a safety issue. So we're repairing that hazard out of our money, and then she got a grant to cover some of that. I don't know if it was in the meeting.
Yeah.
So that will offset some of our money that we have to spend out of that. So, you know, stuff like that comes up during the winter, that if we don't spend it on condemning houses, that's what they've been doing since they put this 100,000. There you go.
Right. Are you aware of a house on Perry Street that also is compromised?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just tore that one down. That was one you got. That was one.
Charlie Gleason?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just tore that one down.
Okay.
That's why that's come down, but that was what I did, that was my first 2 years.
I didn't know if you were aware of that, but I know he set up a meeting lately. Thank you.
In 25, we were quite a bit under budget too. We had 97,000 left over in the general fund.
Yeah, it goes back to the buildings to condemn. If we don't have them to condemn, that money don't come out. So, you know, if we use them for projects, like we're doing now, if we don't have them, then that money goes back.
So you're saying a project currently that will last, that will cost around 60 or 70,000.
Between the pavings and gathering. And that house being condemned.
Right.
Yes, it's gonna be. Off the top of my head, I'm guessing something so.
So we could potentially put 50,000 into a reserve account
Mhm.
from this year's budget.
Yeah, I would say it's roughly 50,000, because what we did was try to get them lifts the other day on that, so that would have come out of lift and died of lack of motion, so. That's where that would have come out too, so that's.
I'll make a motion for the 107,000 and 50,000 left over in FY 26 and the reserve.
You want 107 or you want 107 minus 50?
I think if you let it go into a reserve account, they'll eventually have enough money to do the career project.
So why don't we just use this money that's left over to reduce 2027 budget? Which is let all this miscellaneous reserve funds,
They could
which is
potentially,
really hard to even know where it is. It's hidden.
well, it shouldn't be hidden, they should be giving us those reports, but yet in most cases, the council probably won't even take our recommendations. They will probably take all this money that's left. It
Well,
will
this
be,
is
it will
what they
be,
want to do.
it will be dumped in UDF and then they will allocate some UDF as a revenue to offset the budget. Yes,
What UDF is we call reserve.
undesignated funds. You'll see in your, yeah, you'll see in in the revenue that they are planning on doing that this year, supposedly. Taking,
The whole point, we're looking for money, it seems like we're keeping it, reducing it to the budget, but having all these reserves.
well, they're
Oh.
planning on taking 92,700. That's not a lot. But if you don't tell them to put it in a reserve, it's just gonna stay in UDF, and it's not gonna be used to reduce. You know,
I'm just sending a message to.
we're sending them a message, we're trying to reduce next year's budget. If you don't spend it, then you'll have it next year, who's spending?
Okay, it seems to me you've given them this, plus the extra money they're gonna give. Right,
You make a motion,
no, I mean,
Mine
isn't
got
that what we're saying by doing the
Yes.
reserve account?
but I think it's important enough that we should give them at least what they're asking for, and then have this extra, maybe next year. They won't have anything, they won't need anything, because they'll have it.
Once we get enough, when we get them in this house, they'll go away. But that's what, 20 grand? is going out.
Yeah, it's roughly between 10 and
60.
20 grand, I mean.
Sixty
each house-
thousand in this year's budget.
So
Yeah, that's what each house, we're saying.
yeah, each house about between 15 and 20 grand, think about. Cost, providing you don't have to pay for it, assessed.
If you want to reduce this to 50,000, 57,000, and then put 50,000 into a reserve. Is that what you're saying, Ted?
What I'm saying is you got whatever left. You can just take it, move it for this year's budget, it's only got some budget and reduce it by that. Move it forward,
I just said that.
which is, okay, which is.
I'll make a motion for 57,000 and take 50,000. That's left over in FY 26 and put it into reserve.
Okay, so
I'm
that's,
going to amend the motion.
okay, that reserve account, is for guessing, then you shouldn't just move it to the 27?
You can't.
You can't.
Cannot.
Okay, just about the county, what nothing?
Shoot.
Yeah, okay. You think you want to close it, put it down. Yeah.
No, nobody seconded.
Did you second it?
Did you second it? Oh,
Well, yeah. Doesn't matter.
I'm sorry.
Wait for a minute.
Before we vote, may I request clarification. So we're reducing 0108 to $57,000 with a provision that the money not spent during fiscal year 26 be rolled forward to to be used in fiscal year 27. Is that correct?
Correct.
So realistically, we're planning on spending something over $100,000. Some of that money comes from the current fiscal year. The rest comes from what's budgeted during the pending fiscal year. Is that correct?
Yep.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 9-1. 0435, Public Works Equipment, Department request $238,160.
And these are all leases?
Make a motion to accept Department request.
Yeah, we can't do much.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And then I guess the last piece is just in the capital because this is important is the paving.
Never done it, didn't put any money in it. It could have been 400,000 in the paving. The line item.
Well, I remember Dennis saying that the council wanted.
This storm and it's not on there and.
There's 100,000 in there.
Right, that, so that used to be the gravel replenishment, and we haven't done that in the last couple of years. So we have 400,000 in this year that we just went out to bid, and we accepted the bid and everything, so we're paving this year for that. And then we're in hopes to put 400,000 in next year,
So you want to change the request from 100 to 400?
400,000, that's for, and put it in the paving line.
That was the big.
Yeah.
The next I remember, guys, because he wasn't planning on doing any paving this year because of the asphalt prices.
Well, that's what we was talking about in the roadway committee. We would wait to see the prices. And we thought it was gonna be between 130 and 150 a ton. For the King's Road. This is one of the lowest prices in 25 years.
Oh, perfect, yeah. Then
You know, we could do a little bit more than what we thought we were gonna be able to do, so
Do you have a list of the roads you're going to do this year?
we're doing Town Road. Madden off the street. And we're gonna do 2 or 3 places of shimming on.
But not all cross street.
Please do some.
Because this place is a shim, 6 inches deep on cross, and we're gonna try to get most of that out of there, and then hopefully next year. Yeah, it's probably fit the rule, pretty point. So then there's another line that benefited in there, yeah, storm drains. No, yeah, here it's down at the bottom, but it's. So you had that, these ones down here, so I got
What's the number?
0195.
Storm drain?
Oh, there's only one on the gate, sorry, 0435, so.
Okay.
So it'd be, rehabbing the dozer. Gonna be, we got $25,000. That's for putting the sprockets and idle wheel. And taking it and getting it, sandblasted and painted. Because the dozer pretty much what we solved the sand problem.
And how much are you asking for that?
25,000 is what we have been pretty much what we call we have from John Deere. In the painting.
And you don't need to put anything in there. To pick up that you're now.
Yeah, I got that, I got 2 more things here, but.
Well, just, so just back to the paving real quick. So what's the plan for the sidewalk on Enfield Road?
Well, we had just started talking about it, we'd like to. We had to get a hold of the state, figure out what they'll allow us to do, because I know Dennis was kind of in charge of this, so. The last thing I heard was it had the engineers and all that stuff when we reported it. And when we did Route 2, D&D did it like replacing time. So I'm thinking if we can go up there and just replace it in time, we don't have to have an engineer. And all that was what I'm hoping, we can just put it all in pavement. So we're gonna have to contact the state and see what we can do, because ultimately it's their sidewalk. We pay for it, why, I do not know, but. That's the cookie that we're doing.
That's what I was wondering, if it's just like a little coat of,
No, it's gonna have to
Asphalt.
be rebuilt places. I mean, there's some places that we've already rebuilt when the gas comes through.
Yeah.
So we can skip them places, but it's pretty much gonna have to be a full rebuild on most of it.
That was like going up by hill. I do all the home now, but it seems like that's gonna be a huge plus.
It is, trying to get them to move the power lines back and take them out the old pole. This is being a headache and this is giving me the runaround. I've been calling, trying to get it going, get the fun, and it's one big run.
So what they first told us was our old fire boxes, the line was on top of the poles and that was ours. Just to get that line off. So we had the line taken off. You remember the old pole holes? You know, that we had all around town, the fire boxes. So our line was on the pole, we got that off. So now we've gone back to the Spectrum, has to get their lines converted over to the other poles. Well, when you call Spectrum, you're talking to people in Alabama, Florida,
Iowa, Florida, I talked to them, pretty much every state except.
So-
Nice if they do that everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because we can't even get through a couple areas with the sidewalk up there. We have to go up, plow up to it and go around it out the road and then continue up the sidewalk. So yes, it was kind of issue for 2 years.
Maybe it's time to contact Senator Collins.
Yes,
I mean, it's not going on to my, but that's.
So you're asking for us to vote on 400 to 400,000.
make a motion for the 400,000. Discussion.
I think we should put a restriction on it. I don't think it should be paid $100 a barrel. It's paid directly price to oil. But there should be a limit of where it can go. When you get to 100, savings is probably.
But you said it was the lowest it's been.
It's $82. But that $82.77.
It's surprising.
Yeah. Okay, so that when they punish it. Okay.
and we was on a net pavement escalator, so when the tax goes up, we pay a percentage. So the cost to us, you know, if we go out to bid now and the oil prices go through the roof, we only pay 5.6% on that. So like in the past, like 2,000 tons, like we're going for this year, we paid like $15,000 difference for that. So it's $2,000, $200,000, we pay $15,000 difference in price when the price went from $640 for the tax, it went up to $800 per barrel. So when that price went up to that much, it only cost us $15,000 difference, because we're on an escalator. When the price goes up with them, we need the price to stop. Both the contractor eats the cost and we eat the cost, it's split both ways. It's just because a lot of municipalities go out to bid this time of year, and they don't want them to be liable for it, and the DOT come up with this price, so it's on an escalator, so everybody's fair. So it's the municipality don't eat it, and then the contractor don't lose their. So it's in our bid sheet when we go out.
When what they gave you the price per ton, did they give it based on an asphalt price?
Yeah, everything's based on the asphalt.
What did they give for an asphalt price?
They give us 115, but it was 640 on the asphalt price. The liquid asphalt.
640
Liquid asphalt, every one of them was 640. And in 2023, when the price went up in 23, it went up to $800, and I was just saying, we had to pay $7 difference per ton in that liquid price. So it figured out to like $14,000.
It's usually what they'll do, is they have the asphalt left over, they'll give you a quote based on that, but they'll also tell you what that price is, so like you said, when it goes up, you could be hitting a 25% increase.
Right, and we put that escalator in, just so we're not hit with that increase. We have to pay that with everybody else.
And you're gonna pay as much you pay for 400,000, depending on what the price is, that's the tonnage you have to pay.
Any other discussion? All those in
There
favor?
was more in here, other ones, and, yeah, we're still doing.
David,
Nay,
9-1. And then we have 0435. You said that was 25,000 to rehab the dozer, and then
Then we had, 25,000 that we were gonna add to the capital for the pickup, but. To add to our 30,000 and then. the
Not
following
lease
year-
though, because it says lease.
Yeah, it's not supposed to, he was supposed to make that out.
But 25 is the purchase.
Yeah.
So 25 for the dozer, 25 for the pickup.
Yep, and I have, 2 portable traffic lights. I got 3 quotes on it, I went with middle quote, but that was $69,632 for 2 of them. And the reason I'm asking for those is because we got guys on different projects, and if we need flaggers, I gotta have everybody on the job. Instead of having multiple jobs going, but the other problem is we are limited to when the guys can take vacation. I have jobs that I can't do because we have no flaggers. That's why I'm asking for both, like that.
You go out and get prices on flaggers?
No, we have found project flagger in the past, and just lining up our work with project flagger, where they're so far out. We've never pursued it.
There's no grant available for these portable traffic lights?
I have no idea. I just started looking. I mean, I just took it, so I just started looking at this, I have no idea.
I would suggest you go out and get pricing on flaggers. Because that's a huge price. Whoever uses these flaggers is DOT because they get the same budget. Every contract in the state can afford these flaggers.
No, I understand.
Either that or we'll try to find a grant. I think there's grants out there for this kind of equipment. Because it is a safety issue. Yeah, I would make a recommendation for
hit up
50,000.
Susan Bones.
Head up to the bone. If I'm going to talk about this. 50,000.
We learned not to shut down public.
So 50,000 for the total, so tractor and pickup.
The dozer and the pickup.
Second it.
before we vote on that, is it $25,000 a year to lease the pickup truck?
It's for purchase.
Purchase, thank you.
If we're gonna do the deal with the rat.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that would be the added, you're gonna have to add that, so it's 30,000. you
Keep
have-
going for reserve. Until you get it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
I,
10-0. I think that's a good spot to stop.
Well, I think, you know, what is it, Winter Street and well, the other one, did you guys get that, the one that for the front page?
We didn't do the minutes.
Oh,
The other one, you guys have to take maintenance on those two?
We got, we're not street, we're taking over back in 2010.
Okay, White Point Estate,
White Point State, we've had that back in the 90s.
back in the line.
Yep.
Um,
I'm not sure, but we got it maybe for my, we have the main drain of White Point, we don't have all this on.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have none of the stuff, it's just the main.
I've got a camp on, Sam Hill, North Nova.
Yeah.
And they charge $575 per lot, which is basically for every 100 feet.
Yes.
And we look at what you guys do, you do $389 dollars for 100 foot. That's your 64 miles into your budget, your initial budget here. To give you an idea what you're doing. So my whole point, when the town accepts maintenance on a subdivision or road, whatever, the value of that house goes up. So there needs to be assessed to go up to handle this extra maintenance fund. Because the buildings are based on location. And when you have public right of way, when all of it, everything's paid for by the town, you bought that house, is that built into the set value? when all of a sudden it gets adopted, all those value of those houses have to go up to pay for that. That's the way it's supposed to be. What's weird about Lincoln is they create too many subdivisions without paved roads. Oh, yeah. They're not trying to change that for a long time. Right, even in the, a comprehensive plan, we never went in. What was bad at one point, put in place and talked about last night. That prevents any subdivision from being paved roads and no longer responsibility of the town, nor do we see the cost in the town. Well, there's so many miles of the subdivision roads. No, but that's, it's a whole, if you got a public right away, you can be public right away. So there's really, the police can't go down the road unless it is a public. So it's really, that's the way that, no, they have to be called in. No, the police and myself, here, I can go all in there, I can walk all on your property, there's anyone to kind of Lincoln. Zoning, well, in charge of zoning. I can not into your house without 24 hour notice. Police officers can know your house and you like them to be immediate. But you're in a subdivision, you're still within the town of Lincoln. You know, but with the private road, it's private road. No, that is. But
I follow up on that too, because it's a private road where I live.
Yeah.
And the police have told me, no, they can drive down any road they want.
It's a private road to a private citizen can't go down. the road.
You guys can say, I don't want you going slow down. But you can't stop, official or law enforcement officer coming down. So, but you give people a party on your road, absolutely, you have the right to stop them going down the private road. But you can't stop. I think I a police officer employees with some roads. That's why you see me everywhere, driving down every old road, I'm running all the roads. So, anyway, the whole point is, the value of the house goes up, when the road, maintenance goes up, and it should be excluded in the assessment. But yeah, I'm not sure if they can do. I would think where the growth of brand new. No, that's been way before my time. That's when we can, I don't know where we put that. What started, what they get, what they started and stuff. And no idea. You know.
But I think the planning board needs to be educated on the cost of accepting these subdivisions without having some restrictions on whether or not the town is required to accept that road or not.
It's right, we have a moratorium, we don't do anything to those roads now, when you use them. Those words, I don't know.
I know that we have one more voting item.
Please, that they actually, put that moratorium in, I don't have to go back and find notes of that, so I know when it started, so.
Yeah, because that only has a time limit, like a time limit.
I was told that time to do it on the planning board, that's what it was supposed to it, he said that there was no time limit on it. But I asked him, those time limit, he said no.
Most moratoriums do have some sort
But I
of time
want to,
limit.
I want to, so I know, I don't know, and I'm sure I can get them into tomorrow, to know more about it, but I'm still, probably there with it every month, I'm still learning and digging.
We need a motion to approve the minutes.
The motion that we're seeing from minutes as written.
Second. All those in favor?
And the last thing.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
10-0.
What I set right here, up today,
Oh, yeah.
on the bottom right hand corner, that is the wages, the salary, social security, it's a fully loaded. And with benefits are 145% of wages. So the bottom line, there's 64 people, staff, and it's all based on 2,080 hours. So that's, you know, and it's $112,000 per employee is the average cost.
With benefits,
With fully loaded reform.
including the union members and non-union, it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, it's all in there. So social security, FICA, health insurance, workers' comp, retirement, family leave, those stuff, and then that's the total salary. You see all the percentages on the left.
Oh,
Just so you already know what's going on. In $100,000 average, in 12-run false basis, which is really high. Somebody making good money. What's really out of whack is that retirement, 7.65, 5% is total 50 is that number, is, not 7.65. Workers' comp is super high too. But then again, you have police and workers and the fire department. So that's what, you know, I would recommend going out for this, with the Hartford and them. To do that, because what there's all this thing about fire extinguishers and all that, the mill, they have factory neutral as insurance companies, which is the most strictest insurance company they are. They have their own codes. They take the codes and upgrade them. The codes are so strict that they're actually in very strict engineering codes, like FM90, which is not with how you design a wind so the wind doesn't rip it off. So my whole point is they let mills take care of their own extinguishers, lights, and all that. So this whole thing is MMA asking you to do all this weird stuff. Factory music. And so they've gone way beyond.
That's because they're a self-insured company.
Well, I mean,
That they have all, yeah, MMA is a self-insured,
they're asking for stuff that.
yeah.
factory
They do
music
that
does.
because we're trying to reduce their exposure.
Yeah, it's,
We've gone out to see pricing for besides MMA, it was like 3 times the cost, so,
well, I've looked at some.
I think that's.
But when you include everything,
no, that was just for town insurance.
you gotta put the 6,500 they're doing in that workers' comp number, you gotta put in all this extra stuff they're having to do, that's not done. I mean,
It's not very fun.
no,
And I will say the only reason the workers' comp is so low as right now is because again, we self-funded. If we went out with insurance, that would be,
Unemployment.
no, workers' comp.
I just got an
Workers'
office,
comp
right,
Yeah.
office half of 10, we're 0.5%. Because it's an office then, so look, the risk is so low, it's like the lowest it is.
Right.
Yeah, so this is brought up because you're fire and you're.
Yeah, I don't think that's low at all. Workers' comp is very expensive.
Yeah, I personally think it's not.
It's not gonna be higher if you go to an insurance company because they're gonna be eating all that cost that will. They're
Well,
gonna charge
it
more.
would be high because of your past.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you're affordable,
we've had a lot of use, so
so you have a bad affordable.
that's,
um,
again, you
why-
have firefighters, public works.
You know what it is. Well,
I
what
think
was
off
the
the top of my head.
Okay. That's probably it.
Careful.
You
Yeah,
could,
we-
you could
what we
ask the
do.
town manager to ask MMA, what is our rating compared to other communities our size? And I think they would have to give that to you as our insurance company. They should be able to do that.
When I owned a business, we always knew what our rating was, we used Mimic, and because of injuries, we were at the high end of that.
But I think you can ask MMA, even in a self-insured pool, they must have a way to rate all of their municipalities that are in this pool as to whether we're the highest, we're the medium, we're the lowest, where are we? And what causes us to be here?
If you did,
Well, I know what causes it, exactly what one of you all said, because of all the times it's being used, because of all the injuries
Right.
and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's-
Supposedly, all of these things that they're imposing on the town, like Cintas replacing first aid, that's an added cost. Those are things that they're requiring of us, but why? But why?
Because nobody else requires that. If we say factory neutral is super strict. They take boiler codes, they take every code and make it strict. Because they are so strict. And
But I think a report from MMA would be a good idea, because that workers' comp is like horrendous.
Insurance not that.
Yeah, I think we're
And
about.
one is a rating company, and you're 0.6, you're really good, you're higher than one.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
have some problems.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, what it basically means it's a percent. So if you're two, you think 2 times the average. One is rating company, you haven't screwed up yet. You have to go to two.
What was the name of the company you suggested to look at?
Okay, the Hartford, they're the big insurance company. Mimic is the one that is most of the state of Maine.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
You just gotta give them the 941s. Your 941s, and then they go right from there. Well, your 940, you know, 940.
Yes, I do.
The payroll, yeah.
Yeah, for the federal bill. And then they. Okay.
Chris, that's it. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we'll put this in the minutes then, part of the minutes.
On the very right, it shows that everybody, how many employees there is, and that's based on an employee being rated at 2,080 hours. So we got part-timers in there. Now, even though they just moved the out, the full-time employees, the hours are still the same.
Right.
So.
You'll have to bring an extra one for Dave for next week, right, Dave?
Yeah.
He's still gonna-
I'll bring you some more.
Were there two sheets to that, did you give out, or just the one?
There was just one,
Just
just a
one.
spreadsheet.
Yeah, so I got it, but I'm missing the part where you talked about retirement in a 7 point something, I don't see that, maybe it's on this, thank you.
It's in that little corner box right here.
Right. Okay, good. So I, see that I put a dark bold, the very top, it says salary. That's the salary, and that salary is obtained by social security. The social security number is 7.5% of the salary, so that, I didn't go and add them all up, I back calculated to come up. You know, the 7.5 of the gross
Social
salary.
Security
equals
is 765.
7.65. Okay, then that's quite wrong. Yeah. So I can modify that, so that will probably be paid, so actually, make the number big.
Yeah.
We just need to divide by that.
All right,
So we're pretty close. So now I'm playing with the numbers back and forth, just changing two people. And it changed 112,000.
Really great.
It dropped like.
How are
Yeah. It doesn't have much budget on it.
thank you.